Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to the 76th Annual General Meeting of the shareholders of the company. It's my privilege to address all of you as the Chairman of Mahindra and Mahindra Limited. Since the requisite quorum is present through video conferencing for the Annual General Meeting, I, as the Chairman, call the meeting to order. Now let me introduce the directors of your company. Lead Independent Director and Chairman of the Governance, Nomination and Remuneration Committee, Mr. Vikram Singh Mehta. Chairman of the Audit Committee, Mr. T.N. Manoharan. Chairman of the Stakeholders Relationship Committee, Mr. Haigreev Khaitan. Chairperson of the CSR Committee, Dr. Vishakha N. Desai. Other independent directors, Ms. Shikha Sharma. Mr. Muthaiya Murugappan. And Ms. Nisaba Godrej. Nominee Director from LIC of India, Mr. Vijay Kumar Sharma. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Anish Shah. Executive Director of the Automotive and Farm Sectors, Mr. Rajesh Jejurikar. Non-Executive, Non-Independent Director, Mr. C.P. Gurnani. All the directors of your company are present at the meeting through video conferencing. Mr. Venkat Ramanan Vishwanath, Partner, BSR and Company LLP, the Statutory Auditors, Mr. Sachin Bhagwat, Secretarial Auditor, and Mr. Dushyant Dave from Messrs. D.C. Dave and Company, the Cost Auditor, are also present at the meeting. The Company Secretary of the company is also participating in the meeting through video conference. I now request Narayan Shankar, Company Secretary, to take us through the regulatory matters and general instructions pertaining to the Annual General Meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mahindra. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to this 76th Annual General Meeting of Mahindra and Mahindra Limited. Shareholders may note that this Annual General Meeting is being held through video conferencing in accordance with the Companies Act 2013 and circulars issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and SEBI. Facility for joining this meeting is made available through video conferencing for the members. The company has also provided a webcast facility to view the live proceedings of this AGM on the company's website. Now, a small advisory for the shareholders. All the members who have joined this meeting are by default placed in mute mode by the host to avoid any disturbance arising from the background noise and to ensure smooth and seamless conduct of the meeting. Once the name of the speaker shareholder is called out by the chairman, the person will be unmuted by the host to enable him or her to speak. Before speaking, the shareholder is requested to click on the video as well as audio icon appearing on the screen to switch it on, and if for some reason the shareholder is not able to join through video mode, he or she can still speak using the audio mode. While speaking, we request shareholders to use earphones so that they can be clearly audible, and it would also minimize any noise in the background. They are also requested to ensure that Wi-Fi is not connected to any other devices, no other background applications are running, and proper light is available to have clarity in video and audio. If there is connectivity problem at the speaker's end, the host will mute such speaker and the next speaker will be invited to speak. Since the AGM is being held through VC pursuant to the applicable circulars of the MCA and SEBI, physical attendance of members has been dispensed with. Accordingly, the facility for appointment of proxies is not available for the meeting. The register of directors and key managerial personnel and their shareholdings, register of contracts, the memorandum and articles of association of the company, and the certificate from the company's secretarial auditor of the company relating to the implementation of the company's ESOP schemes as required to be kept at the annual general meeting are available electronically for inspection by the members. Members seeking to inspect such documents can send an email to agm.inspection@mahindra.com, which is also mentioned in the AGM notice. The notice of the 76th AGM, along with the copies of the audited standalone financial statements and audited consolidated financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2022, together with the directors and auditors report, have been emailed within the statutory period to all those shareholders whose email addresses are registered with the company or KFin Technologies Limited or their depository participants. With the permission of the members, I am now taking the notice of the 76th Annual General Meeting and the board's report, which are circulated to all the shareholders, as read. As the statutory auditor's report on the audited financial statements of the company for the financial year ended 31st March 2022 and the secretarial auditor's report for the financial year ended 31st March 2022 do not contain any qualification, observations, comments, or any other remarks, the same are also taken as read. As per the Companies Act 2013 and SEBI listing regulations, your company has provided the facility of remote e-voting to the shareholders to enable them to cast their vote electronically. As per the timelines mentioned in the AGM notice, the remote e-voting facility was provided for 4 days, which concluded at 5 p.m. yesterday. Further, in compliance with the rules on e-voting framed under the Companies Act 2013 and the circulars of the MCA, the voting at the AGM will also be conducted with the same e-voting system of KFin Technologies, which was used during remote e-voting. The shareholders who have not cast their votes through remote e-voting process and otherwise not barred from doing so shall be eligible to vote through e-voting system during the AGM. Once the chairman orders commencement of e-voting, the vote tab on the screen will be activated to enable such shareholders cast their votes. They can vote by clicking on the vote tab. Shareholders may please note that there will be no voting by show of hands. The results of the e-voting, along with the scrutineer's report, shall be communicated to BSE and NSE, where the equity shares of the company are listed, and will also be placed on the company's website and on the website of KFin Technologies within 48 hours from the conclusion of the meeting. Mr. Sachin Bhagwat, practicing company secretary, has been appointed as the scrutinizer to scrutinize the e-voting process in a fair and transparent manner. Now let's go to the agenda items. There are 10 agenda items for approval of shareholders today. 6 items of ordinary business, which are adoption of audited standalone financial statements and the reports of the board and auditors thereon, adoption of audited consolidated financial statements and the reports of the auditors thereon, declaration of dividend, appointment of a director in place of Dr. Anish Shah, who is retiring by rotation and has offered himself for reappointment, appointment of a director in place of Mr. Rajesh Jejurikar, who is retiring by rotation and has offered himself for reappointment, and reappointment of Mrs. BSR & Co. LLP Chartered Accountants as the statutory auditors of the company to hold office for a second term of 5 consecutive years from the conclusion of the 76th Annual General Meeting until the conclusion of the 81st AGM of the company to be held in the year 2027. There are 4 agenda items of special business, which are ratification of remuneration to cost auditors to be passed as ordinary resolution, payment of remuneration to Mr. Anand Mahindra as non-executive chairman of the company for the financial year 2022-2023 to be passed as special resolution. Approve material related party transactions between the company and its subsidiaries and associates to be passed as an ordinary resolution. And lastly, approve material related party transactions pertaining to a subsidiary of the company to be passed as ordinary resolutions. The objectives and implications of the resolutions proposed at the AGM are already set out in the notice of the AGM and explanatory statement, and for the sake of brevity are not being repeated again. In case members wish to seek any further clarification, they may raise it at the Q&A session. I will now take you through the flow of the AGM proceedings. The chairman will first address the shareholders. Then, in accordance with Section 108 of the Companies Act 2013 and rules made thereunder, read with the MCA circulars, he will order for e-voting to be conducted on every business to be transacted at this AGM and which is set forth in the notice. This will be followed by the Q&A session. The company has received requests from some shareholders to register them as speakers at the meeting. Accordingly, the floor will be open for those members to ask questions or express their views. The moderator will facilitate this session once the chairman opens the floor for question and answers. Those shareholders who have not registered as speaker but still desire to raise any question may use the chat box provided on the screen. I now request our chairman to kindly address the shareholders. Thank you.
Dear members, I warmly welcome all of you to the 76th Annual General Meeting of Mahindra & Mahindra Limited, being conducted for the third consecutive year in this phase of virtual AGMs. This gives us encouragement that even during the pandemic, we found new ways to rise, which is the core purpose of our group. Your company has approved the Q1 F23 results, which have shown the growth trajectory of your company and the Mahindra Group. I will not dwell upon them further as they are already in the public domain. I would like to mention, though, with great pleasure, the unprecedented response to our Scorpio N launch, where 25,000 cars were booked in 60 seconds. It is my privilege now to share some thoughts with you. I always believe that pictures speak louder than words, so I'm going to do this in the form of a presentation. I had shared this picture on Twitter a short while ago, and at that time I had used it to comment on the need for humility. However, we can also look at it in a very different way. When you see familiar things from a distance, they can sometimes look different. A change of perspective changes the view. So today, I'd like to share another perspective on the generally gloomy economic outlook that we hear so much about nowadays. And even though we are a transnational business group, today I'm going to focus on the India opportunity, which frankly provides some light in that encircling gloom. Let's start with one of the most troubling issues, the price of oil. And that's on everyone's mind, and rightly so, because it affects so many other things that are part of our daily lives. And it hurts. But let's step back a bit. Let's take the oil prices over the last 15 years and adjust them for inflation. In 2008, the oil price was the highest ever, about $130 a barrel. And if you take that figure and adjust it for inflation, it would cost about $300 in today's money. The highest price of oil in recent times is $120. It's actually lower than 2008 on an inflation-adjusted basis. Now, today's price is not great, not the perfect price that we'd want, but looked at through the lens of inflation, it's not devastating. So as they say, when a door closes, a window opens. In the case of oil, more than just one window could well open. The war in the Ukraine is teaching us a timely lesson about the dangers of over-reliance on oil and the need for alternate energy sources. It also coincides with a climate change crisis which needs to be tackled on a war footing. It seems logical that this experience of oil supplies being negatively affected by war will shake us out of our complacency and give a much-needed fillip to the quest for renewable energy. So some good may yet come out of this deplorable situation. And if that happens, it may well turn out to be an opportunity. The war in Ukraine has also brought high-tech defense into focus. Here's a meme doing the rounds on social media. One of the main reasons Ukraine, though vastly outnumbered on the ground, is holding its own in the conflict is the high-tech defense technology being poured in by NATO countries. And there's a lesson in it that countries like ours need to be perpetually ready to defend our borders. So high-tech defense will become a sunrise industry. The next big concern is whether the US will go into a recession, and that's a prospect that sends tremors throughout the economies of the world. And of course, it's difficult to predict how a possible recession will play out in the US, but there's a silver lining to it. India has always been resilient. Look at the shocks over the last 3 decades. There is a short-term impact, of course, but over the longer term, the India story stays alive. If there's only a mild recession in the US, that is likely to be good for India, because our resilience will help attract capital inflows. Further, a mild recession will also help reverse the commodity price rises and perhaps induce the US Fed to put a cap on rising interest rates. Another area where business everywhere is feeling the pain is in supply chain disruption. In M&M, one of the main reasons for the long waiting periods for delivery of vehicles is that the availability of semiconductors had slowed down to a trickle. Those lamenting the demise of a global supply network are ignoring the fact that the disruption is actually in the China-dominated global supply network rather than in any true diversified global supply chain. Unshackling ourselves from China is actually a good development for the rest of the world and long overdue. Nature abhors a vacuum, and other countries, including ours, will rush to fill it. In fact, the process of unshackling has already begun. China may be losing its edge. 60% of companies and 82% of manufacturers now report that their production slowed during the present outbreak due to a lack of associates and employees, an inability to obtain supplies, or explicit factory halts resulting from the lockdowns. So where is the opportunity in this scenario? Well, there's likely to be a significant supply chain restructuring. Companies and countries will look for alternate supply sources, and that's going to create pockets of opportunity around the world. There's likely to be a significant supply chain restructuring, as I said, and India may well be one of the beneficiaries of this diversification of sourcing. The supply chain disruption experience will also boost another burgeoning business. All of us have learned the hard way that it's crucial to keep monitoring the supply chain situation, to keep a finger on the pulse, and to get early warning signals of possible disruptions. This points to the need for greater digitization and reliable monitoring software, including perhaps blockchain. So another opportunity. Another area of brightness that completely eclipses the sobriety is leisure and recreation. After 2 years of COVID, the whole world is realizing that you only live once. There's an unprecedented frenzy to do all the things that we've been postponing. I could throw 100 statistics at you, but the pictures we have been seeing every day of growing holiday crowds says it all. Our very own Club Mahindra has seen occupancy levels go from strength to strength despite new variants of the COVID virus. The leisure and recreation boom has begun. China's loss is India's gain. We are going to be the beneficiaries of a geopolitical realignment in threat perception. For the last few decades, all roads led to China. But there's been a change in this situation. China's geopolitical ambitions and growing economic dominance are spooking the West. The US Foreign Secretary Antony Blinken made a speech recently where he called China the most serious long-term challenge to international order, and he proposed, among other things, to align with partners with shared interests who are opposed to China's overseas development policies. That is India's cue. We can be the balance against China. We can be the new player in the supply chain. So the situation is rife with opportunities. We have but to seize the day. As global interest in supporting an economically strong India grows, I'm confident that capital will flow here from the West. This investment will be via FDI, thus directly putting money into Indian businesses and infrastructure. Private equity and venture capital in particular will see strong growth, as it already has started showing. Even FPI flows, which were negative due to flight of capital, are seeing the first green shoots. It's a particularly gratifying confluence of events because we are at a stage of great entrepreneurial blossoming. India has had the largest number of startups in the world and the third largest number of unicorns. In 2022, we've added a new unicorn almost every 10 days. The move to restructuring global supply chains, which I talked about, will also benefit India. India will be the top candidate in the sourcing diversification process. Given the right conditions, Indian manufacturing could take off. Rupee depreciation has caused inflation, but fortunately, it has remained in control due to sound fiscal and monetary management. Our inflation target deviation is well below those of most developed economies. The rupee was overvalued, and it was inevitable that it would head towards finding its own level. This level helps boost export competitiveness and helps India's exports, which have grown 25% year on year. Overall, the situation, therefore, is full of opportunity for India. There are, however, some gaps we need to fill to take full advantage of these opportunities. The most important of these gaps is jobless growth. The Indian unemployment rate is hovering around 7 to 8%, according to CMIE, Center for Monitoring the Indian Economy. This is because job growth has not kept pace with GDP growth. Only 40% of the labor force that is capable of working is actually working or looking for work. In the United States, this labor participation rate is 60%. The biggest sufferers are youth and women. With one of the largest youthful populations in the world, it's easy to imagine the potential for social unrest if jobs don't grow along with the youthful population. The government, of course, is trying to do its bit. It has announced plans to hire 1 million people in government jobs by 2023. But given that we have a 900 million strong workforce, there's a lot more to do. In the private sector, job creation is happening mainly at the lower end of the gig economy. Drivers for Uber, deliveries for Zomato, that sort of thing. This is not nearly enough. To create jobs on a mass scale and to take advantage of the global factors that are moving in our favor, we must boost manufacturing. Even more important than large groups and large conglomerates are MSMEs. MSMEs that can take advantage of the trend towards the localization of manufacturing and the use of technology to create the scale that I had talked about. In the United States, in fact, 90% of new businesses are what they call mom and pop shops. Their investment may not be huge, but they create 67% of new jobs in the US. In India too, taken together, MSEs can be a spine for growth. I say to all my industry colleagues, let's put aside our fears and step up to bat. Even though inflation is a concern, from the business angle, it can nevertheless provide a minimum threshold of returns on productive assets. And that enables business people to take more risks because inflation ensures that investing in the present is cheaper than in the future. It further makes businesses more attractive versus passive investments, thus attracting capital. If it doesn't spin out of control, inflation can in fact be the ally of growth. I believe industry should have faith in the future and invest. The world is changing and there are opportunities waiting to be seized. We seize these opportunities and turn our fortunes around. A little bit of calculated risk, a little bit of courage will pay rich dividends. To quote FDR, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. At M&M, we are walking the talk. We are well positioned in the businesses where opportunity beckons. Even as we adopt a more focused approach to capital allocation, we are strategically scaling up investment in our chosen areas of focus. Be it electric vehicles, tractor plants, solar fields, logistics, or real estate. We are upping the game and tapping into sources of global capital to mitigate risk. We see opportunity in front of us and we are going to take it. These, of course, are the opening lines of Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, which I used a couple of years ago. They continue to have resonance today. In many ways, we appear to be living in the worst of times. But depending on how you look at it, these can be the best of times. We at M&M believe these are the best of times, and we intend to act on that belief. As I conclude, I express my gratitude towards all our stakeholders for keeping faith in the Mahindra Group and the company for more than 75 years, and I hope for many more glorious years to come. We will certainly ensure a commitment to stakeholders' first approach and also conduct our businesses in a sustainable manner to ensure value creation for all. As mentioned by Narayan Shankar earlier, shareholders can share their questions and comments arising from the agenda of the AGM in the chat box provided on the screen. Keeping in mind the time of all the shareholders who are present, I am requesting Mr. Manoj Bhatt, Group Chief Financial Officer and our Investor Relations, to respond to all questions received through the chat box provided on the screen in the next few days. The company has indeed made all efforts feasible under the circumstances to enable members to participate and vote on the items being considered in the meeting. Before I open the floor for questions by members, I order commencement of e-voting on each item of the agenda. Those shareholders who do not wish to participate in the discussion or question and answer session relating to the resolutions, or do not seek any clarifications or do not want to wait till the question and answer session is over, can cast their votes. Please note that those of you who have already cast your votes on the remote e-voting platform shall not be again permitted to cast votes now, and votes once cast cannot be changed subsequently. We now move on to our discussion and question and answer session. I have received a list of shareholders who are registered as speakers, and I will call out those shareholders' names one by one. Before I call on those who wish to speak on the proposed resolutions, I request all of you to be brief and to avoid being repetitive. Also, in the interest of all present, I request you to strictly stick only to the points arising out of the agenda items and to restrict your speech, preferably to 5 minutes. The company reserves the right to restrict the number of speakers depending on the availability of time at the AGM. We start with Arun Kumar Bopana. Arun?
Good afternoon to everybody. Thanks to Narayan Shankar and his team for the cordial relations. Compliments to the management for roping in British international investment with an investment of 1925 crores to build electric cars. With early entry through EV Reva Electric in 2010, but we had concern of poor range and performance. It took a long way today for M&M. EVs were in infancy in India earlier. We were mostly on diesel and petrol for a long time. But today, their survival is at stake as the auto world moves towards EVs. M&M should have done this much earlier, sir. But this tipping point of EV will be the growth story for M&M to explore too. I will be proud if the right technology partnerships are from India and homegrown and not imported. And my question, sir, for EV to evolve, how will worries on range M&M dissolve? For EV cars, there is a wait now. How will M&M accelerate? Will diesel cars become irrelevant and only EV cars become relevant? With M&M on the EV mission, with lots of ambition, what will be the numbers? With one nation, one grid, Gati Shakti infra impact, will M&M have more EV cars compact? When will M&M find a supercharger? By when will M&M profits be larger? Petrol diesel engines have around 20,000 parts, and I believe electric cars have only 20 parts. So it will be easy for us to remove and replace the parts in the EV cars. Your comments, sir. Will children of tomorrow be free of driver's license with AV cars? With AV cars, will there be reduction in road accidents? What strategy is M&M playing with pricing for value rising? How optimistic is an M&M above EV portfolio to be 20 to 30%, with EV CAGR to be 90%? What are MM plans to create value and employment to the underprivileged for women empowerment and to create leaders at every level? In conclusion, from where M&M is today, where M&M wishes to go, I want to say the future cannot be predicted, but the futures M&M can invent. I wish M&M all the best to rise while enabling others to rise. Thank you and God bless M&M.
Thank you, Arun. Next speaker is Humayun Purdehi.
I'm Mrs. Homa Behrus Purdehi, and I'm so happy to attend this AGM of our beloved company, M&M. We are very old shareholders, and my husband Behrus used to attend every AGM of our company since the days when Mr. Mahindra was the chairman. Now, in one of the physical AGMs, you, Mr. Anand Mahindra, had said that M&M is like a banyan tree, continuously growing and spreading in the form of new ideas, hence new companies. We have seen before times the formation of Tech Mahindra, Mahindra CIE, and so many other companies which became so successful with very good market cap and so on. Now, I just want to ask two questions. Of course, we are very proud of our company. And the one question which I want to ask is, this global recession seems to be a real threat. Of course, we have got a presence in 100 countries of the world. So we should not be that much affected. But how do you plan to tackle this recession? I mean, what are your plans? We just want to know. What is your vision in proceeding with this? We just want to know. That's all. And secondly, as everybody knows, so many startups and fintechs and whatnot have come up, and they're disrupting the traditional business models, becoming unicorns overnight. But Mr. Chairman, you yourself have mentioned in the annual report about your investments in the digital platform. We want to know what are your plans to take advantage of this huge customer base of M&M Group and create value here? M&M, as we have always been saying, stands for value creation and also for shareholder value creation. So we want to know, what is your vision? What are your plans in this digital growth of ours? And of course, regarding your CSR activities, just don't know what to say about it. Last year, when I suddenly lost my husband, Behruz, and I was in deep depression, your secretarial team rang me up, gave me condolences. Your company secretary gave me counseling. You all gave me moral support, that you all were there. I was not alone. I felt so much better. I tell you, my mind was so such that I also wanted to go along with my husband. You know, in those days, in our Hindu customs, you know, women used to come with sati. They used to jump in the funeral pyre of their husband. I felt like doing the same. Of course, though we Parsis we don't burn our bodies. But your company gave me moral strength. I've taken care of my now bedridden brother, old and ailing mother, my husband's sister who had black fungus. I was in the hospital with her, and so on and on and on. If you can help one person stand strong and help your family members, imagine what you all are doing to lakhs of other helpless citizens of India. We know the value of what you are doing. We are very proud of our Mahindra Group. Please keep up your CSR activities. That is the reason why I say our Mahindra Group is blessed. It has only one way to go, and that is up and up and up. So in spite of all the challenges you all faced during lockdown, pandemic, we are as strong as ever before, and we are proud of the same. Thank you very much, Mr. Anand Mahindra, and all the employees for all the work you all are doing and for creating value creation for all of us. We wish our company all the best, and special blessings to you also, Mr. Mahindra, along with all your staff and employees and board of directors and everybody connected with our company. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Humayun Purdehi. The next speaker is Asha Lata Maheshwari ji.
श्रीमान चेयरमैन साहब, मेरे सभी डायरेक्टर भाई और बहन, मेरा नाम आशा लता महेश्वरी, आप सबको मेरा सादर नमस्कार है। एनुअल रिपोर्ट और नोटिस 1 महीने पहले मिल गया। इस बार की नोटिस और एनुअल रिपोर्ट हमेशा से भी ज़्यादा इंफॉर्मेटिव है और कलरफुल भी है। आनंद जी, हर साल की तरह आपसे निवेदन है कि आप केशव जी को मेरा प्रणाम और ज़रूर पहुंचा दीजिए। केशव जी के लिए कहना चाहूँगी, दिल से निकली दुआ है हमारी, जिंदगी में मिले खुशियाँ सारी, गम ना दे खुदा कभी आपको, चाहे तो एक खुशी कम कर दे हमारी। चेयरमैन साहब, आप गोयनका जी को भी हमारा प्रणाम पहुंचा दीजिए। उनसे कहना कि हम उन्हें AGM में मिस कर रहे थे। चेयरमैन साहब, आप तो जानते हैं कि हम सब शेयर होल्डर आपको कितना चाहते हैं। हम शेयर होल्डर को पूरा यकीन है, चाहे आप नॉन एग्जीक्यूटिव चेयरमैन हो, तब भी आप इस कंपनी को ऊंची मुकाम तक पहुंचाएंगे। दुआ करते हुए कहना चाहूँगी, आसमान का चांद आपकी बाहों में हो, आप जो चाहें आपकी राहों में हो, हम तो ख्वाब देखते हैं पूरा जो आपकी आंखों में हो। मैं अनीश शाह और राजेश जजूरी कर जी के लिए नहीं कुछ कहूँगी, क्योंकि वो तो मेरे बच्चे के समान है। अनीश और राजेश की कंपनी के परफॉर्मेंस के लिए हार्दिक उनको मैं बधाई देना चाहती हूँ। मुझे यकीन है कि आप दोनों महिंद्रा के लिए नई मंजिल हासिल करते रहेंगे और हमारे शेयर की कीमत बढ़ाते रहेंगे। मेरी तरफ से आप सब डायरेक्टर्स को XUV 700 के सुपर सक्सेस पर बहुत सारी शुभकामनाएं हो आपको। सुनकर बहुत खुशी हुई कि कंपनी की नई इलेक्ट्रिक गाड़ी मार्केट में आ रही है। चेयरमैन साहब, हमने एनुअल रिपोर्ट में पढ़ा कि M&M की कंपनी को कॉरपोरेट गवर्नेंस अवार्ड नवाजा गया है। कोविड के समय में भी आपने 231% डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करके हम सब शेयर होल्डर को खुश किया है। मैं सभी प्रमोटर को सपोर्ट करती हूँ। मैं सेक्रेटरी श्री शंकर जी के लिए एक दो शब्द चेयरमैन साहब कहना चाहती हूँ। मैं हर साल आपको कहती हूँ, जो बहुत ही मीठी भाषा में है, बहुत हेल्पफुल नेचर के हैं, ऐसे सेक्रेटरी कहीं नहीं मिलते चेयरमैन साहब। मैं उनको भी बहुत बहुत आशीर्वाद अपना देती हूँ, वो अपनी जिंदगी में बिल्कुल खुश रहे। आप सबकी जय हो।
Thank you, Asha Lata ji. It's nice to see you. We now go to Kaushik Narendra Sahukar.
Good afternoon, everyone. First off, I would like to thank the Board of Directors for giving me an opportunity again to speak in this forum. Many of you would remember me from the conversation in past years, so I will keep both my introduction and ask brief. I hope I am clearly audible. Myself, Kaushik Sahukar, a qualified accountant from Mumbai. I have been suffering from dystonia, which has rendered 55% of my body paralyzed, impacting my right hand, my right leg, and a speech. While I have not let that come in my way of becoming a chartered accountant and practicing, I do request your support in helping me continue to be self-reliant. I hope I was optimistic after our conversations we had last year about me working for our organization on certification work, including Form 15CB. However, nothing has progressed since. While I understand things may have not progressed due to pandemic situation last year, I do hope that after our conversation today, our organization would start engaging me in this area as soon as possible. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and I hope to see a positive movement forward with my ask. I support all the resolution. Also request you to please provide reply for my ask. Finally, how will the metaverse unfold and transform our enterprise? Thank you all once again.
Thank you. We'll move to the next speaker, Mr. Mukesh Ajmera.
Namaste, Anand ji, Anish bhai, Board of Directors, and all stakeholders at every level of Mahindra Group. Many congratulations to the company for very good financials and for a series of several awards, recognitions, accolades, GPTW for a decade, safest vehicle in India, largest tractor maker in the world, and so on and on. The list is endless. Anand ji, you are one of the best corporate leaders in India who has proactively enabled your slogan rise of all within your group, rise of all the people within your group to even futurize it, and also outside the group itself, wherever your initiatives have been. And this is with your sincerity. And setting a global standard in ESG voluntarily is indeed remarkable, unlike any other. You and your group deserve all the laurels and appreciations for it. You are one of the most admired persons in India in the corporate world. and you are also the benchmark and role model for other corporates to emulate, in my opinion. Personally, I'm extremely proud of you for your demeanor. I hold you in very high esteem, and it comes from the bottom of my heart. Saying this after following you for many years, though I have met you only a couple of times at some events. You have earned this respect and recognition for and of all stakeholders, consisting primarily of customers, employees, suppliers, and last but not the least, the investors. I have created a new definition for stakeholders, which I call as the middle line of any organization, due to whom only their top and bottom lines exist or flourish. And without this middle line, they even perish too. Your ESG initiatives are very close to my heart, especially water, waste reduction, planting of trees, alternative energies, and a few others. With what we are seeing in the last 50 years, the mankind has damaged the globe so much, unlike since its evolution thousands of years ago. I would like to introduce, based on your ESG initiative of planting trees, a new thought for our country, and that is Jan Gatao, Van Badhao. Reduce human population, but increase the forest cover. Anandji, with your genuine concern for social and national issues, I request you to take up and redress some dire and pressing and demanding issues which have been hitherto ignored in our country, though there are many of them. It takes conscientious look and effort, like how our Prime Minister Modi took up the Swachh Bharat and Toileting of India initiative right in the first address from the Red Fort, unlike any other previous government or even 1.2 billion people of this country. I would like to point out to an extremely demanding, pressing, and a concerning issue. I hope you are aware that over 2 lakh crore rupees of Indian public money remains unclaimed with the government in unpaid dividends, untransmitted shares, bank accounts, insurance policies, and many such financial instruments. Why is this happening? It's because people are unable to cope up with redundant and ridiculous acts, rules, regulations, and compliances, the legacy of which dates back to British era. And one such classic act is the Indian Succession Act of 1925, which is highly discriminatory in today's times also against Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, and Buddhists, except Christians and Muslims, who are asked to probate in the cities of Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta, which almost prevents people from getting their families and their own wealth. One such example was, a friend of mine said he was asked to file an FIR for some few lost physical shares just because it was eaten by termites. Now just imagine, only human beings have been given the sixth sense of reasoning, logic, amongst 84 lakh varieties of species on this earth. But unfortunately, instead of using it and utilizing it properly, it gets abused, especially when it comes to officialdom. And I'm a victim of this too, with another large group. After my dear mother passed away 21 years ago, I have been struggling to get her shares transmitted to me. I do not know, I could have died in one of the phases of Corona, and nobody knows when our death is at our doors, when Yamraj calls us. And her shares are lying with dividends worth lakhs with IEPF. And if I go away, everything will be with government forever. This ISA 1925 Act in whatever avatar it is today, despite its tinkering. It's a century-old act which is being still used, misused, or even abused selectively by some people, some companies, some individuals in some places. And this is happening in our 75th year of independence, where we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Are we really Azad with the slavery of such acts still ruling upon us, or even many other acts which have, similarities to these kind of acts? There are countless ways of proving authenticity and genuinity of people and the right recipients than doing the court kacheri ka chakkar, which most people don't want to. Very few people can afford to, mentally, physically, financially, or whichever way you think of. Therefore, I urge you, Anandji, to take up this issue for the relief of crores of people being deprived of what belongs to them legitimately and their families. What a great injustice has been happening to them, including myself, for 75 years since the British has left us. Our Prime Minister has already abolished about 3,000 plus British era acts. Perhaps he is not aware of similar acts that are hampering this wealth going to the people of this country. And he needs to be informed about many such things and many such acts, rules and regulations which do not enable one of his favorite subjects now, which is ease of living. Here there is no ease of living, nor investing, nor even dying for crores of people. We do not know who will become his victim and when. People like me and countless others are sick, tired, and fed up to the point of giving up what is rightfully and legitimately ours, then go through the quagmire of ridiculous legalities. Prudent reforms are needed on a war footing. With your outreach, Anandji, you can surely make a huge difference and enable such dire changes. People like me are looking forward to you and like-minded people like yours. I will be more than delighted to connect with you personally on this and many other similar issues. And with your outreach, it's extremely easy for somebody at your position to, and since you are into many such issues of concern for the country, for the people of this country, and I will be very happy to connect with you. One of the things about the company I have in mind is you are already #1 in safety in the SUV, and also you have been very well experienced making various kinds of vehicles. So I would like and urge the company to enter the passenger vehicle segment as well. Though there are a lot of players, but good companies like yours, there is always a dearth, especially those who concentrate on customers and customer service. I wish you all good health and lots of best wishes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mukesh ji. The next speaker is Nihar Mahindra Singh. Her sons Siddhant and Vikrant will be talking to us.
Good afternoon, Chairman Sir, Directors, and our fellow shareholders. It is an honor to be speaking here before you at the AGM of Mahindra, something which we would never miss as a yearly opportunity to reconnect with the company. At the outset, we are delighted to see a string of blockbuster products being launched by M&M, including the Thar, the XUV700, and the Scorpio N, each of which we have personally test-driven and can vouch for the quality and authenticity of the product. We are sure that the success of the Thar and the XUV700 is going to be replicated by the Scorpio N. In fact, you will be happy to note that we have just booked a Mystic Copper Mahindra Thar, our third Mahindra vehicle, after getting an over 60% buyback offer for a 6-year-old trusty Scorpio, which speaks volumes about the product and the brand. We have gone through the annual report and as usual, it is very informative. And we must congratulate Mr. Narayan Shankar and his team for such a meticulous job. We are equally excited about the EV event on 15th of August. Being an important part of the oil industry and the transformation to sustainable energy, we are fully aware how electric is the future. And we are delighted to know that M&M is launching 5 EV vehicles, including the XUV 900 on the 15th of August. We support all the resolutions proposed. Last, but certainly not the least, we would like to point out that our family have been shareholders of this company since its inception in 1945. There have been many ups and downs in the business. However, our small stake in M&M is close to our hearts. And this family relationship with the company can never be negotiated in terms of money. We have been part of this extended family for generations, and we are sure that this valuable heritage dating back to our great-grandparents' time will continue for the years to come. We hope to be around to wish you when M&M touches the century mark. All the very best to the team for what promises to be an exciting future. And if we could be of any help on the way, we would be more than willing to give back to the company which has given us so much. Thank you. And now I hand over to my brother Vikram, who will say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are truly grateful and thankful to Mr. Narayan Shankar sir and his team, who reinstilled and reminded us of how we are and will always be an imminent part of the Mahindra family. We are truly humbled and touched, sir. Hailing from Punjab, a particularly welcome news was the commencement of the third tractor plant, citing the increase in demand. Chairman, sir, we look forward to seeing you at the inauguration. A short story that was heartening to witness for me on one of our visits to the showroom while we were booking our Thar was when I overheard a young girl of about 10 or 12 years old throwing a tantrum, quite vehemently so, that she only wanted to book the Thar or the XUV 300, and no other vehicle was on her list of dream cars. Not surprisingly, her parents had to yield after a bit of negotiating about bed timings and homework schedules. But all in all, I believe we have been ingrained in the minds of our young as a brand that is reliable, strong, future-ready, and proudly Indian, something that my great-grandfather and grandfather would have thoroughly enjoyed to witness. Waiting for a new vehicle is never easy and is probably equivalent to waiting for a new member of the family to arrive. To enable a customer as excitable as us to join in the journey, we were pleasantly surprised that we could track the delivery process of our Thar, much like any e-commerce company or a food delivery company, through our existing digital platform, which showcases the 3D model with all the accessories and estimations, and is already leaps and bounds ahead of the market practices. In conclusion, we would like to thank you all for bringing us together and hope to be here with equal gusto, enthusiasm, and vigor to celebrate the 100th AGM. Thank you.
Thank you both. We now move to Mr. Gautam Kedar Prasad Tiwari. Gautam bhai.
Honorable Chairman Sir Anand Mahindra ji, good afternoon to all other directors also and team Mahindra also. Very, very good afternoon. My name is Gautam Tiwari, participating at this AGM from Mumbai. Chairman Sir, I am very much impressed with this year's annual report. Every year Mahindra Mahindra is coming out with more and more information in the annual report. Sir, I can imagine the hard work that would have gone into by accounts IR and the secretarial departments in preparing such an elaborate annual report. Company has launched XUV 700, sir. I was happy to read that the booking got full in first few hours only, and more than 1 lakh bookings were completed in the span of 4 months. Sir, we want to see more and more XUV 700 running on the roads. Sir, company is paying rupees 11.55 as dividend to shareholders, and shareholders are very happy about it. Sir, company's performance is excellent. Anandji sir, although you are a non-executive chairman, I am very sure that the company will continue to receive your mentorship, without which it would not be possible for the company to see this quality performance. I wish auto and other M&N business also achieve the same success. For Chairman Sir, Anish ji, Rajesh ji, and my other directors, I would like to say, sir, आपने मेहनत कर ईमानदारी से इस खूबसूरत मुकाम को पाया है। आपने मेहनत कर ईमानदारी से इस खूबसूरत मुकाम को पाया है। आपकी सफलता और आपकी जीत ने बहुत लोगों का हौसला बढ़ाया है। Sir, in order to understand my appreciation and working of the company in a better way, I got certain queries. Sir, first is there any impact of Russia-Ukraine war on Mahindra and Mahindra? Sir, what are the steps taken to ensure that the company remains as a number one electric three-wheeler company? Sir, what are the steps taken in regard to include sustainable business practices in the key decisions by the company? Sir, what is the industry response towards the petrol and diesel variants of vehicles as electric vehicle segment is growing more and more? Sir, what is the development strategy of the company in regard to the electric tractors? Sir, with the increasing demand of the new blockbusters like XUV 700, etc., how the company is ensuring that the shortages of semiconductors do not create any bar to delivery of our vehicles. Sir, as the company entered into NFTs apart from Thar, is there any other product of the company which is suitable for NFTs? How our company ensured that it is moving more onto the usage of renewable energy? Sir, how the Krishna initiative of the company is helping our company to achieve the goal of RISE? Is there anything planned for automotive consumers also? Sir, what are the future endeavors of the company in response to the farm mechanization products apart from tractors? Sir, during the difficult time for business, how the company ensured to grow in the auto as well as farm sectors? Sir, finally, I would like to support all resolutions very much. Hope to meet you all in person at the next AGM. We wish you a very happy, very long, happy, healthy, wealthy, and safe life and bright and shining future in the days and years to come ahead. Thank you very much, sir. Goodbye. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
Thank you, Gautam Bhai. The next speaker is Praful Chawda.
चेयरमैन सर, बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स, मेरे साथी शेयरहोल्डर, वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस से मीटिंग कर रहा हूँ। हैदराबाद से प्रफुल्ल चावड़ा बोल रहा हूँ सर। सर, वैसे तो कंपनी के अकाउंट्स के बारे में कुछ बात नहीं कर सकता हूँ। बोले तो आपकी कंपनी में ढेर सारे सीए रहते हैं, एमबीए रहते हैं, जो बराबर अकाउंट बनाते हैं। तो अकाउंट्स के में जो बात कहना चाहता हूँ, इसकी एक बात है कि अभी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कार आना शुरू हो गया है, तो अपने इसके मैन्युफैक्चर के लिए क्या क्या काम करने जा रहे हैं। तो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कार में भी कई लोग आग लग जाती है, फायर हो जाता है, इसलिए क्या करने को जा रहे हैं। और कंप्लीट अपना पेट्रोल डीजल जो वहाँ 4 व्हीलर बनाते हैं, इसका प्रोडक्शन कम करते हैं, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक में कितने आगे बढ़ेंगे। तो दूसरी बात सर, ये जो लिथियम बैटरी यूज होता है, पर अभी मैंने सुनने में आया है गवर्नमेंट इंडिया कुछ बोलती है कि सोडियम में बैटरी बनाई जाएंगे, और सोडियम इंडिया में अवेलेबल है और सस्ता भी है। तो इसके लिए रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट सेंटर कितना प्रोग्रेस करती है और कैसा आगे बढ़ेंगे। और फ्यूचर में 2 इयर्स, 4 इयर्स और 5 इयर्स के अंदर क्या पूरा कंप्लीट इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गाड़ी का ही जमाना आ जाएगा। इसके बारे में आप क्या बोलना चाहते हैं, वो हमको बताएंगे तो ठीक रहेगा। सर, कंपनी का रेवेन्यू अच्छा है, पर एक माइलस्टोन रहना चाहिए कि 1 लाख करोड़ का टर्नओवर मिस हो गए तो कब पूरा होगा। डिविडेंड अच्छा दिया है, 11 रुपीज 35 पैसा दिया, बहुत अच्छा है, यानी कि 231% डिविडेंड है आपका। सर, खास तौर पे ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि कंपनी का गाड़ी जब सर्विस में जाता है, सर्विस स्टेशन में, तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम आता है सर। गाड़ी रख के जाना पड़ता है, कभी ऑयल डालने का बोलते हैं तो ऑयल कौन सा डालते क्या डालते पता नहीं चलता है और पैसे पूरे लिए जाता है। जब वही लोग घर पे भी आकर सर्विस करके जाते हैं तो हमारे सामने सर्विस होता है, तो इसमें प्रॉब्लम नहीं आना चाहिए। और मैं मानता हूँ कि शेयर होल्डर है जो कंपनी के, उसके पास भी महिंद्रा महिंद्रा गाड़ी है, इसके पास या इसके फैमिली मेंबर के पास किसी के पास है, तो आप इसको सर्विस, एक सर्विस का फ्री कूपन भेजना चाहिए डिविडेंड वारंट के साथ, ताकि जो ट्रस्ट किया आपकी कंपनी में शेयर होल्डर बने और गाड़ी भी आपकी यूज कर रहे हैं, तो इसको एक बेनिफिट देना चाहिए सर। CSR में बहुत अच्छा काम हो रहा है। तो सर महिंद्रा महिंद्रा सोशल वर्क अच्छा कर रहे हैं सर आप, और आपका नाम जाना जाता है और बहुत अच्छे काम भी इसमें हुए, सोशल मीडिया में आपने करे हैं, तो इसके लिए मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ। तो सर ऐसा भी सोशल वर्क करे कि अभी जो भी आपने सॉरी सर, आपने कभी कोई प्लेयर को तैयार नहीं किया अभी तक जो ओलंपिक गेम में खेलने को गया और गोल्ड मेडल सिल्वर मेडल या कोई मेडल लेके आए, तो आप इंडिया में से ऐसे प्लेयर को ढूंढे जो ओलंपिक गेम खेलना चाहते हैं, ओलंपिक गेम खेल में जाना चाहता है, पर पैसे की वजह से, गरीबी की वजह से आगे नहीं बढ़ सकता है, पर इसमें बहुत ताकत है, पावर है और कुछ कर दिखाने का, इंडिया में कुछ कर दिखाने की बात सोचता है, तो ऐसे लोगों को ढूंढे, ऐसे लोगों को हेल्प करे और आगे बढ़ाइए, ताकि नेक्स्ट फ्यूचर में ऐसा भी बोला जाए अपने को गोल्ड मेडल सिल्वर मेडल भी इंडिया में मिला है, प्लेयर ला के आए हैं, तो महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा कंपनी की हेल्प से आया है, ऐसा मेरा सोचना है। आपने मुझे बोलने का टाइम दिया, इसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर।
Thank you, Praful Bhai. We keep moving to Ms. Shobna Sudhir Mehta. Shobna ji.
रिस्पेक्टेड चेयरमैन श्री आनंद जी और अन्य मेरे जाने माने डायरेक्टर भाइयों, मिस विशाखा जी, शिखा जी एंड निशा जी, मेरा नाम शोभना मेहता। सर, इंटीग्रेटेड एनुअल रिपोर्ट इन टाइम मिली। इस साल की एनुअल रिपोर्ट भी हर साल की तरह वेरी कलरफुल और हमेशा से ज्यादा वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव बनाई है। हर एक डायरेक्टर की इंफॉर्मेशन अच्छे से देते हुए वेरी इम्प्रेसिव बैलेंसिंग बनी है। आनंद जी, जैसे कि मैं हर साल आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि आप मेरी रिगार्ड्स, गुड विशेस एंड प्रणाम श्री केशव जी तक जरूर पहुंचाइएगा और उनसे कहना कि हर एजीएम की तरह आज की ये एजीएम में मैं उनको काफी उनकी कमी काफी महसूस कर रही हूँ। सो कहूंगी, दर्द में भी ये लब मुस्कुरा जाते हैं, बीते एजीएम के लम्हे जब हमें याद आते हैं। आनंद जी, अब मैं आपके बारे में क्या कहूँ, आप तो सबके दिलों पर राज करते हैं। सोशल मीडिया में आपके लाखों फॉलोवर्स हैं। आपको किसी की नजर ना लगे, सो कहूंगी खुदा बुरी नजर से बचाए आपको, चांद सितारों से ज्यादा सजाए आपको। गम होता है क्या ये आप भूल ही जाए, खुदा जिंदगी में इतना हंसाए आपको। सर, रिजल्ट देखे, कहूंगी कंपनी का रेवेन्यू, पीएटी, वॉल्यूम, सभी पैरामीटर्स पर कंपनी के परफॉर्मेंस काफी अच्छा रहा है। कंपनी ने इस साल सबसे ज्यादा 231% डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर किया है। इसके लिए मैं आपको और आपकी एंटायर टीम को हार्दिक बधाई के साथ धन्यवाद देते हुए कहूंगी कि कोविड के कठिन समय में भी आपने सब शेयर होल्डर का ध्यान रखा। और सर, कोविड का फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड वेव तो अच्छे से निकल गया, लेकिन कोविड के थर्ड वेव ने मेरे पति को ही मुझसे छीन लिया। अब वो इस दुनिया में नहीं रहे, सो उनकी कमी मुझे महसूस होती है और अब उनके यादों के सहारे ही बाकी की जिंदगी मुझे गुजारनी है। 2 महीने तक मैंने कोई एजीएम अटेंड नहीं की थी और आज आपसे बात कर रही हूँ। सर, कहूंगी आनंद जी, महेंद्र ने 75 इयर्स का पड़ाव पार किया है और हम शेयर होल्डर की दुआएं हमेशा महेंद्र के साथ है। महेंद्र ने आज फिर साबित कर दिया है कि जब हौसला बना लिया ऊंची उड़ान का, दिखता क्या है कद आसमान का। मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि आने वाले सभी सालों में भी हमारी कंपनी इसी तरह तरक्की के मोड़ पर आगे ऊंची उड़ान के साथ बढ़ती रहेगी। उम्मीद करती हूँ कि अगले साल फिजिकल एजीएम हो और आप सबसे मिलना हो। सर, वी मिस यू ऑल। आप सबकी हेल्थ और वेल्थ हमेशा अच्छी बनी रहे, यही शुभकामना के साथ मैं आने वाले सभी त्योहारों की भी आपको और आपकी एंटायर टीम को शुभकामनाएं देते हुए कहूंगी, फूलों की खुशबू, कलियों की बहार, चांद की चांदनी, अपनों का प्यार, मुबारक हो आप सबको आने वाले सभी त्योहार। आई विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट फॉर द फ्यूचर सक्सेस। सर, बस इसी के साथ मैं शोभना मेहता आप सबका धन्यवाद और शुक्रिया अदा करती हूँ। थैंक यू सर।
Thank you very much, Shobna ji. Now it's the turn of Celestine Elizabeth Mascarenas.
Chairman Emirates Keshub Mahindra, Chairman Anand G. Mahindra, MD and CEO Dr. Anish Shah, members of the board, my fellow shareholders attending the VC, I am Mrs. C.E. Mascarenas. I am speaking from Mumbai. First, I thank the company secretary and his team for sending me e-annual report and also registering me as a speaker at my request and also giving this platform for speaking. Thank you very much. The working is very good. Dividend of rupees 11.55 is excellent. Also, market capitalization is good. The next point is congratulations for all the awards and accolades received during the year. Also, very good CSR work, which I appreciate. Also, lots is done on the ESG platform. Here, my question is, have we rated? Who is the rating agency and our rating score? Now, my queries. Number one, are all the staff working in office or every day or on alternate days? Number two, what is our market share in SUV in the world as we are number one domestic? Number three, we have sold total 3,54,698 tractors, domestic and exports. How much margins we enjoyed? Has any geopolitical issue, supply and logistic bottlenecks, rising interest cost due to inflation and Fed, how are we handling all these problems, margin problems? Number five, we have good export and import. Is the falling rupee to the dollar is beneficial to our company, whether it is positive or negative, whether we have problem of semiconductors and chips and how we try to solve it. Number seven, sir, this is my problem. I have shares in physical. Sir, anytime there is open offer for market, from market, but please take it from the individual shareholders who are holding physical and extinguish these shares after taking suitable indemnities. With this, the physical holding in the balance sheet will not be reflecting only. Once for all, it will be over. With this, I have supported all the resolution. I wish my company, my team, you all very good health, and may Mahindra and Mahindra grow in from strength to strength. With this, thank you very much for giving me this patient hearing. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Mrs. Mascarenas. We go on to Lekha Satish Shah.
Respected Chairman Sir, Board of Directors, and my fellow members, good afternoon to all of you. Myself, Lekha Shah from Mumbai. First of all, I am very much thankful to our Company Secretary Narayan Sir, especially Nikita Ma'am, for extending very good investor services and also sending me the AGM notice well in time, which is full of knowledge, fact and pickets in place. Thank you, Chairman Sir, for explaining us well about the company. Congratulations for excellent work, sir. Sir, I pray to God that He always shower His blessing upon you. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the chairman and management for receiving various 35 awards, including the Indian Car of the Year 2022. Sir, I would like to ask few questions. My first question is, due to pandemic, what in fact has been in our manufacturing plants and how many were closed in the domestic and overseas countries? My second question is, due to losses increased by some or subsidiaries, what plan you have to bring back profitability? Please highlight. My third question is, in this tractor segment, what is our market share in the domestic market? My fourth question is, what has been the expenditure and capex plan for R&D for the year 2021 and 22? So I would like to say, I strongly support all the resolutions for today's meeting, and my wish wishes always our company and its prosperity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lekha ji. It's now the turn of Mr. Vinod Agarwal, Vinod M. Agarwal.
Respected Chairman Anand Mahindra ji, MD and CEO Dr. Anish Shah, CFO Manoj Bhatt, and CS Narayan Shankar ji. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm thankful to Shruti from your CS team, who has been very helpful. First, I congratulate the management for the excellent performance in very tough COVID times. The consolidated revenues was 90,171 crores. The PAT after exceptional items was 6,577 crores, 97% up over the previous year, and the EPS was 59.22 crores on the face value of 5 rupees. You have declared a dividend of rupees 11.55 paise against on the face value of 5 against 8.5. This has been very good, well received by us. And the automotive sector, you sold 4,55,570 vehicles against 3,48,621 vehicles, which was up by 30%. And growth of Indian passenger vehicle, commercial vehicle sales, and the passenger vehicle sales outperformed the Indian passenger vehicle sales overall. So this is, I hope we will be able to outgrow the commercial vehicle sales also in the future. Tractor sales maintained last year's sales volume growth of 40%, while the Indian tractor market grew. That means we maintained in the tractor sales, we maintained the sale volume, while the Indian tractor industry degrew by 6%. So we increased the market share in the Indian market share, which is now 40%. The FY23 has also started on a very positive note, with the vehicle production going to 90,899 crores and dispatches to 79,739 vehicles, which last year were only 49,000. So we are doing well in the first in financial year 23. The beginning is good. The tractors produced are 64,000 against 55,000 last year. So that also is good. The point of which I have noted in the annual report is the revenue on the automotive sector was 35,586 crores, and on the farm sector was 19,766 crores. And the PAT in the automobile part, when we have sold, when you have got a more revenue, the PAT in the automobile part of the business is PAT is only 1,337, and in the farm sector, where the revenue overall is 19,766 crores, the PAT is 3,579 crores. So the margins in the farm sector is much higher than the PAT in the automobile sector, and the capital employed also in the automobile sector is far more than what is there in the farm sector. I hope Apna will be able to bring parity in the PAT margins for in vehicles and automobile sector to the farm sector level. Seeing the thrust in the EV vehicle part of the business, I would like to know if we have tied up for with anyone for long-term tie-ups for lithium-ion battery supplies, as international reports say that lithium and cobalt are going to be in short supply soon, with the demand for lithium-ion batteries going skyrocketing on every front. So, we also hear that Tesla and other big car manufacturers are going backward into mining with mining companies and investing in mining companies for their lithium and cobalt supplies. So, what is your look into this? And what was the production loss due to chip shortages, if any, for our company? I congratulate the management for the XUV 700, which received more than 1 lakh booking within a month of being launched and being nominated the Indian Car of the Year 2022. And I also congratulate the management for the awards that the company has received, as mentioned on page 8. I am Vinod Agarwal from Mumbai signing off. Thank you very much. I wish the company all the best for the future, and thank you.
Thank you, Vinod Bhai. The next speaker is Jaideep Bakshi.
Good afternoon, Chairman, CEO, MD, and directors. Myself, Jaideep Bakshi, connecting from the Sea of Kolkata. Thanks to our Company Secretary, Mr. Anand, for presenting a detailed pictorial report with around 400 pages and maintaining a cordial relation with the shareholders, and giving me an opportunity to express my views, and to the entire secretarial department conducting this video conference in a smooth manner. We have passed 75 long years, and now we are in the 76th year of AGM, and in these difficult times, we are staying afloat. It's a wonderful achievement. And we are maintaining a growth in this difficult, unpredictable situation where every industry and every sector is passing. And we know the revenue generated from the auto and the farm sector and our future plans these sectors. So how are we progressing for achieving our target of carbon neutralization by 2040? Kindly highlight on the new technology implementation plans which are mentioned in page 26 and 27. Our CSR activities return to the society has been great as ever, and concerns for ESG is a good initiative. And congrats for the awards which we have received mentioned in pages 8. Congrats also to the R&D team for bringing innovative ideas and future-ready products. So, what is our future targets regarding the R&D sector? So, how are we planning to overcome the global shortage of professors? So, what are our plans from opening up manufacturing units in the East? So, kindly highlight on the cost control steps and the measures we are taking as the raw material prices are on the rise. And what is the effect on our prices for products? So, any tie-up or technology upgradation for future growth of our company. So, nothing to add more. Best wishes to the management, staff, and workforce to pull our company to new heights and unlock the share values in the coming years. Thank you, and all stay safe, sir.
Thank you, Jaideep. We now move to Shailesh Mahadevia. Shailesh Bhai.
Respected Chairman, Shri Anand Mahindra, and all other distinguished directors and members of the company. Sir, I am thrilled to see all of you are eagerly awaiting to see what I, as a small shareholder, has to say about the company. I received excellent integrated report presented in 388 pages about detailed working of the company, accurate and transparent. Sir, digital transfer, input-output details, ESG, sustainability report, future ready, all these characteristics are also given. Sir, I also appreciate that the promoters have kept their shareholding at 18.88% and allow and invite the rest of the society, including mutual funds, insurance companies, etc., FII, to participate in your program of RISE. Sir, The report also shows interest to serve society very clearly in all its aspects. And you have given an excellent financial reward, including dividend of rupees 11.555 as against 8.75 last year. Sir, we are giving the best range of products in the field of autos and tractors. Sir, we have also been awarded the Indian Car of the Year 22, which we very much appreciate. Sir, now I wish to put some questions with a view to increase my understanding and appreciation of the excellent work being done by the company. And I must admit that I have not gone through all the 388 pages of the report, and you may have answered some of the questions for which you may give the reference. Sir, the two major problems in industries and the nation is the facing of the shortage of semiconductors and a suitable battery for EV. Sir, closely, we are in solving the problem with our research team in both the fields. Sir, what I would like to know is that how close are we to work out either the alternatives to these products or to come out with the substitutes for them. Sir, in the director's, my next question is regarding the director's report. Many of our policies, such as dividend, business responsibility report, CSR expense and work, they are based on working of stand-alone company. Sir, as far as we are concerned, sir, our revenue of consolidated company is as high as 90,000 crore compared with the standalone of only 57,000 crores. Further, sir, our profit consolidated is 7,253 crore as against 4,935 for the standalone. Sir, what I wish to point out is that our report, and particularly some of the things I referred above, should be considered and acted upon on the basis of standalone and not on the basis of consolidated results and not standalone. Sir, my next question relates to the excellent CSR work which is being done by our company. And you have also given the impact assessment report for 5 of our major activities in like Nanhi Kali, Mahindra Pride, Mahindra Academy, Mahindra Scholarship, etc. Sir, these reports, they describe how wisely and cleverly we have selected the deserving members. We have also made sure that the right persons are selected, and they are selected in such a way that they will go to the final goal which we have in mind. Sir, this is excellent. However, sir, our spend on CSR has a multiplier effect. If we spend, say, 100 crore of rupees, the benefit to the society can be as large as 700 crore or 800 crore, particularly taking into account the ripple effect. So therefore, what I would like to know is that can we point out the multiplier of our original expense on CSR. That will give us a complete idea how the society has benefited as a result of our activities. The value to the society is much more than the cost to the company. Sir, my next question is regarding foreign exchange earnings during the year, which are as high as 3,294 crore compared with 2,000 crore last year. Sir, what I would like to know is whether our company is making every effort to increase our exports and what results are we likely to get in the next 2 to 3 years. Sir, my next question is that the World Economic Development Forecast, which was 4.2% originally, is now reduced to as low as 2.8%. Further, US and Europe are likely to suffer from recession. Sir, what I would like to know is how India will be affected in such a situation in the next 2 to 3 years. Sir, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to put a few questions, and I will very much appreciate your response. Sir, I also wish our company every success in all of our efforts in the years to come, which has now become our way of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shailesh Bhai. And now to Mr. Yusuf Yunus Rangwala.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, respected chairman and my fellow shareholder. Very good evening, sir. I will namaste, sir. Chairman sir, Anand sir, आपको मेरा सब प्रणाम नमस्कार. I am speaking from Mumbai. I am very happy with this year's 76th annual general meeting. Sir, 4 years back you have given a bonus 1:1. Sir, now 4 years passed. I request for the last year was the 75th year. If possible, in this coming year, whether we can accept the bonus from your side. Next year, sir, 2023. Because we are having a very good profit in your hands, sir. And which model you will introduce at present, I would like to know, sir. And sir, we are a leader. In which sector we are a leader, sir. And today our market is today quoting 5 rupees share is around quoting 1,400. That is a very good and very fantastic, sir. Instead of 5 rupees share, you have given 11 rupees 60 paisa. For that, I am very thankful to the board and my first from my side, sir. I am very thankful and I am very happy with the company's performance. So this shows how our company is going on. So this is a 76th annual general meeting and annual report can receive on email. That is a very knowledgeable, very colorful. Our company secretary has second a very harmful preparing this secretary department. I am thankful to our secretary department for giving us very good services, sir. And I thank all the sales department and all the people. And I wish our company for Diwali, Happy Dussehra and all the festivals. I have question number 1. Total number of staff at present, sir. In COVID-19, anybody affected in a factory, sir. And point number 3, sir, how many export we are having, sir? We are exporting to which countries our product are exporting, sir? I would like to know. And what benefit we are getting after the export, sir? And nothing more to add. I my speech thanking you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra, Vande Bharat Mata ki Jai. Thank you very much, sir. Nothing more to it, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Yusuf Bhai. And now we go to Tamal Kumar Majumdar. And Tamal, I hope today you set a new record for the shortest list of questions.
Good afternoon, Padma Bhushan, Anand sir, Dr. Shah, Mr. Jejurkar, Mr. Gudani, and other directors of the company. Nice to see all of you in good health and spirit. Myself, Tamal Kumar Majumdar, a small shareholder from Kolkata. Our secretarial team consists of Sumit Maheshwari and others under the leadership of our beloved Narayan sir. He is always ready to help its shareholders. Narayan sir, though a bit introvert, is one of the best company secretaries of our time. He always remains low profile despite his vast knowledge. True to the spirit of the group, Narayan Sahib is also advocating for listening to shareholders for value addition. We want to see him in larger canvas within the group. Dear Chairman, we note that upon completion of your tenure as Executive Chairman, you transitioned to the role of Non-Executive Chairman of the company with effect from 12th November 2021. I understand that this will be your first AGM as Non-Executive Chairman. At the last AGM, you assured us that despite being the Non-Executive Chairman, internal audit will report directly to you in addition to some other strategic matters. We all believe that you will remain as vigilant as you used to be as the Executive Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for sharing your thoughts with us. I have gone through the annual report of financial year 22 and have some queries relating to audited accounts and other matters, and as always, seek your indulgence. Sir, as per consolidated segment accounts, page 365, farm equipment and financial services contributed a massive 5,394 crores out of total segment profit of 7,252 crores, excluding interest and other unallocables. Automotive segment contributed 1,254 crores. How all these segments did during Q1 of financial year 23 and your expectation for the remaining part of the year? When Mahindra took the reins of the all-new XUV 700, it marked a brand new era for the company. We are happy to see the grand success of Mahindra XUV 700, and this vehicle is on a winning spree. XUV 700 truly represents India's rise as a confident, bold, and global powerhouse that is set to take a leadership role on the world stage. We are very delighted to see that Mahindra XUV 700 has won the Indian Car of the Year award at the Auto Car Awards, as well as a host of other awards. The XUV 700 beat out competitors like the new Maruti Celerio, MG Astor, and Tata Safari to win the top award. I am also happy to see Mahindra announcing the brand name of its much awaited SUV bearing the project code name Z101 as the new Scorpio N. I am sure this big, bold, and authentic SUV will boost its reputation as the big daddy of SUVs. I also understand that the current Scorpio, which has evolved over the last 2 decades as an iconic and cult brand, will also continue as the Scorpio Classic. We want to know your view in this regard. Sir, during the year, our company sold only 59 cars against 9 cars sold during financial year 21. Why the unit is in such shape? Depreciation on its assets and other expenses is affecting the profitability of other units. Whether the company will continue producing cars or will stop production of cars in the near future. We want to know your view in this regard, sir. Sir, SsangYong motor imbroglio has not yet been settled. Whether we have to bear any loss in respect of the said unit despite 100% provision against its investment made by our company in earlier years. Our company is still showing SsangYong as our subsidiary as on 31st March 2022 from page 380. It is noted that the company booked a loss of rupees 1,611 crores during financial year 22. Whether our company considered the said loss in the consolidated accounts for financial year 22. Please share your view in this regard. Sir, it is noted from page 249 that other operating revenue of 612 crores includes mainly of oil royalty and scrap sales. Would you please clarify the said oil royalty and the amount earned from it during the year financial year 22? Sir, I wholeheartedly support cleanup operation carried out by our company during the last 3 years. As regards its investments are concerned, during the last 3 years, it made an impairment of 8,116 crores, which includes provision of 813 crores during financial year 22, page 253. It's a provision and the company will be in a position to write back a portion of it if any positive thing happens. Whether the cleanup operation will continue in the coming years, please share your thoughts, sir, in this respect. And please also share details in respect of reversal of impairment loss of 51 crores made during financial year 22. It is in page 253. Sir, I am also happy to read that the board of directors of the company have approved incorporation of a wholly owned subsidiary of the company, EV electric vehicle company, to undertake the four-wheel passenger electric vehicle business of the company. And second, the execution of a shareholder agreement with British International Investment PLC, whereby the company and BII have agreed to invest up to 1,925 crores each in the said electric vehicle company. Just as the last year, Mahindra launched XUV 700 just hours ahead of the country's 75th Independence Day. I am sure that the announcement of the EV lineup on the coming 15th August will also see Mahindra spearheading into electric vehicles, which is long due. We want to know your position in this respect, sir. Sir, during the year, investment in Mahindra Automotive Mauritius Limited increased by 316 crores, from 158 crores to 474 crores. It is in page 235. The said subsidiary booked a loss of 310 crores during financial year 22. It is in page 385. Would you please share your thoughts in this respect? Sir, page 98, as per page 98, the company's total patent granted portfolio stands at 297 across various geographies. What benefits we derive from those patents during financial year 22? And what is the present status of pending applications in this respect? What is the rationale in winding up loans and investment committee with effect from 10/2/2022? Is it solely for the simplification process alone? And which committee looks after the loans and investment matters after 10/2/2022? Sir, we all believe that Hungarian British electrical engineer and physicist and Nobel laureate Dennis Gabor said, the future cannot be predicted, but futures can be invented. The formidable team under your leadership proved it on several occasions, and will continue to do so in future also. We are waiting for more inventions in the coming years under your leadership. Thank you all for patient hearing.
Thank you, Tamal. Kirti Shah, Kirti Bhai.
चेयरमैन साहब, आनंद महेंद्र जी, आपको खूब खूब बधाइयाँ कि अपना कोविड टाइम में भी इतना बहुत ही बढ़िया में बढ़िया आपने परफॉर्मेंस दिया हुआ है, वो बहुत ही धन्यवाद के पात्र है। जो आपका कंसोलिडेटेड प्रॉफिट है वो 7,253 करोड़ आया हुआ है, कंपेयर टू लास्ट ईयर 1,513 करोड़। वो बहुत ही अच्छी बात है कि इतना बढ़िया आपने कोविड टाइम में भी अपना परफॉर्मेंस किया हुआ है। ट्रैक्टर सेल जो आपका बढ़ा हुआ है अराउंड 40%, वो बहुत ही बड़ी बात है, और वर्ल्ड में हाईएस्ट आपका ये बाय यूनिट आपका सेल हुआ है, वो बहुत ही अच्छी बात है। चेयरमैन सर, अभी आपका जो मार्च क्वार्टर का प्रॉफिट था वो भी काफी अच्छा बढ़ा हुआ है। ये स्टैंड एलोन में 1,002 कम हुआ है 1,292 करोड़ कंपेयर टू 1,353 करोड़। तो उसकी वजह क्या है? और प्रॉफिट मार्जिन भी आपका 1.30% आपका डाउन हुआ है, नेट प्रॉफिट मार्जिन। तो उसकी वजह क्या है वो थोड़ा हाईलाइट करेंगे। चेयरमैन सर, सबसे बड़े धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा कि 27 तारीख को जो मीटिंग था महेंद्र लाइव का, उसने जो बताया कि इतना हमारा प्रॉपर्टीज है और ये प्रॉपर्टीज की वैल्यूएशन आज की डेट में ये होनी चाहिए मोटा मोटी अंदाज से। तो जो हिसाब से प्रॉपर्टी का वैल्यूएशन किया है वो हिसाब से कंपनी इतनी स्ट्रांग है कि पूछो मत। ऐसा ही उससे भी ज्यादा स्ट्रांग अपनी कंपनी है महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा लिमिटेड, क्योंकि ये पेरेंट कंपनी है, होल्डिंग कंपनी है, और ये बहुत ही इसमें जबरदस्त वैल्यूएशन होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि आपके पास इतनी सारी प्रॉपर्टीज इतनी पुरानी है, इतनी कम वैल्यूएशन की है। जो महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा की कांदिवली की प्रॉपर्टी है वो तो आपकी करीब बहुत ही लैक्सों में ली हुई होगी, और आज करोड़ों में उसकी वैल्यूएशन है। और आप महिंद्रा लाइफ के साथ में आप सही तरह से वैल्यूएशन करके आप आगे बढ़ रहे हो और मोनेटाइज कर रहे हो एसेट, वो बहुत ही अच्छी बात है। ऐसी महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा में कितनी एसेट है जो आप मोनेटाइज करना चाहेंगे, और उसकी वैल्यूएशन आज की डेट में क्या होनी चाहिए, तो आप जरा बताएं सर। चेयरमैन सर, इतनी पुरानी कंपनी, इतनी एसेट बेस्ड कंपनी, और आपकी प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू ओनली 2.50। चेयरमैन सर, 100 रुपये का माल आपका आज 250 रुपये में खाली बिक रहा है। कम से कम 700-800 में बिकना चाहिए 100 रुपये का माल। यानी परसेंटेज वाइज मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको कि जो आपका 2.5 टाइम्स जो वैल्यूएशन है वो कम से कम 7 टाइम्स 8 टाइम्स होनी चाहिए। तो आप जरा उसका वैल्यूएशन कराएंगे तो ऑटोमेटिक लोग आप इन्वेस्टमेंट करेंगे। HNI इन्वेस्टर के पास बहुत पैसा है, तो सही तरह से सही आप वैल्यूएशन दिखाएंगे तो लोग इन्वेस्टमेंट सही तरह से करेंगे। और चेयरमैन सर, दुख के साथ कहना पड़ता है कि मैंने आपको बहुत बार मैं बताया कि भाई आप इसका वैल्यूएशन, आप इतना प्रमोटर होल्डिंग इतनी लो वैल्यूएशन में आपको अपना इतना शेयर मिल रहा है। जो 10 पेड अप का आप 500-600 रुपया मिल रहा था तब से मैं आपके पीछे पड़ा हूँ, फिर भी अभी 5 रुपए का प्राइस भी आज 1100 रुपया के ऊपर में चल रहा है। अपना फॉरेन FII का होल्डिंग है वो बहुत ही डेंजर है। जो अभी उसका लास्ट ईयर 40% होल्डिंग था वो अभी रह गया 37.94%। अभी 2% भी माल बेचा है पर अपना प्राइस 500 रुपए नीचे कर दिया था सर। जो अपना लो प्राइस यही ईयर में 671 तक चला गया था। तो ये बहुत ही डेंजर है, जैसे ही वर्ल्ड खराब होगा वो बेच के जाएंगे। तो अपना प्रमोटर होल्डिंग ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा, वो ज्यादा अच्छा है। तो उसके लिए अभी जरा आप सोचिए। चेयरमैन सर, अभी अपना जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है अराउंड 30,000 करोड़ का, अभी 2,000 करोड़ का आपने उसमें इंक्रीमेंट किया हुआ है, तो उसकी वैल्यूएशन आज की डेट में क्या होनी चाहिए, और उसमें से रिकरिंग इनकम कितना है, ये टोटल जो अपना प्रॉफिट है उसमें रिकरिंग इनकम कितना है। चेयरमैन सर, ये कॉन्टिजेंट लायबिलिटी आपका है करीब 7,000 करोड़, तो वो कौन सी लायबिलिटी है वो थोड़ा आप बताएंगे। चेयरमैन सर, अभी जो अपना PE है वो बहुत ही कम चल रहा है। इंडस्ट्रियल PE से अराउंड 40% पे चल रहा है। अपना PE है 21 का और मार्केट में चल रहा है 46 का PE, इंडस्ट्रियल PE। तो इतना अपना कम PE पे शेयर क्यों है वो भी थोड़ा आप बताएंगे। चेयरमैन सर, आपको मैंने डिटेल में एक ईमेल किया हुआ है, आप उसका रिप्लाई करेंगे। और चेयरमैन सर, मैं कई टाइम से आपको अपॉइंटमेंट का बात कर रहा हूँ, आपकी अपॉइंटमेंट नहीं हो पा रही है। नो डाउट कि अभी कोविड पीरियड था, अभी तो कोविड निकल गया है, तो जैसे भी आप अपॉइंटमेंट दे सके तो अच्छा है। इंडिया में बहुत ही बड़े बड़े इंडस्ट्रिस्ट है, वो भी अपना मोबाइल नंबर दे के सही तरह से सही अपॉइंटमेंट कर रहे हैं। आप मेरे को बुलाएंगे, मैं सारे फोटोग्राफ दिखाऊंगा, सारे बात करूंगा, सारे बताऊंगा मैं आपकी डिटेल, वो बेटरमेंट के लिए है। तो आप, अभी तो मैं रिटायर्ड हुआ हूँ और सही तरह से सही एक्टिव में, गॉड इज ग्रेट, मैं बहुत ही अच्छी तरह से मैं अपने आप को प्रफुल्लित रखता हूँ। बहुत ही अच्छी तरह से ऊपर वाले ने मेरे को बहुत ही सहाय किया हुआ है। मेरे को आपसे 1 रुपया नहीं चाहिए, मेरे से आपसे खाली प्रेम चाहिए। विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर।
Thank you, Kirti Bhai. Good to see you. We now move to Manjeet Singh.
महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा की ये 76th AGM में चेयरमैन सर और डायरेक्टर, को स्टाफ और माई को शेयर होल्डर सभी का मैं स्वागत करता हूं और भगवान के आगे प्रार्थना करता हूं कि सभी स्वस्थ रहें। पद्म भूषण से सम्मानित हमारे माननीय चेयरमैन, जिन्होंने हमेशा ही क्रांति लाई है अपने इंडस्ट्री के अंदर, उनका बहुत बहुत स्वागत। सर, महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा के क्या प्लान है ब्राजील के अंदर ट्रैक्टर फैसिलिटी के ऊपर, आप इस बारे में बताइएगा। और जो हमारी सब्सिडियां हैं, ये महिंद्रा इलेक्ट्रिक, महिंद्रा ट्रैक्टर, महिंद्रा 2 व्हीलर, इनको आने वाले टाइम में कोई लिस्टेड कराने की हमारी योजना है, थोड़ा इस बारे में आप जानकारी दीजिएगा। और आगे जैसे फेस्टिवल सीजन के अंदर ऑटोमोटिव का जैसे जोर रहता है और नए वाहन लोग खरीदते हैं, तो फेस्टिवल सीजन के अंदर हमारी आगे क्या तैयारी है, आप थोड़ा इस बारे में बताइएगा। और कॉर्पोरेट एक्शन के बारे में थोड़ा शेयर होल्डर को जिज्ञासा रहती है, हमारी प्रोमोटर होल्डिंग क्या आने वाले टाइम में आप कुछ बाय बैक करेंगे, आप इस बारे में बताइएगा। और हमारी जो होल्डिंग टेक महिंद्रा के अंदर करीब 26%, महिंद्रा फाइनेंस के अंदर 51% और महिंद्रा लॉजिक स्टेट के अंदर 58%, महिंद्रा हॉलीडे के अंदर 67% है, क्या आप उसमें से कुछ होल्डिंग को सेल करेंगे, थोड़ा आप बताइएगा इस बारे में। और समय समय पर हमें जो अवार्ड मिलते रहे हैं कंपनी को, उसकी आपको मुबारकबाद। महिंद्रा 575 DI XP जो आपका प्लस ट्रैक्टर है, उसको भी कई अवार्ड मिले हैं और उसकी जो ग्रोथ है अच्छी आ रही है, उसके लिए आपको मुबारकबाद। हमारे R&D सेंटरों की क्या पोजीशन है, रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट में हम अपनी जो है साल का खर्चा कुछ बढ़ाते हैं, थोड़ा आप इस बारे में बताइएगा। अगर ट्रैक्टर के अंदर कोई ऐसी फैसिलिटीज आ सके कि हम एक बॉक्स दे सकें जिसमें कि अंदर कोई सीढ़ी का प्रावधान हो तो अच्छा रहेगा, क्योंकि गांवों देहातों के अंदर लाइटिंग और कुछ इमरजेंसी कामों के लिए कभी सीढ़ी की जरूरत पड़ती है, तो वो बहुत काम आती है। हाल ही में अभी 3 महीने पहले दिल्ली के अंदर एक अग्निकांड हुआ था और उसके अंदर एक वहां से जो क्रेन ऑपरेटर निकल रहा था, उसने अपनी क्रेन के द्वारा करीब 50 से ज्यादा आदमियों की जान बचाई थी। तो वो एक जो प्रयोग नहीं था, एक संयोग था कि अचानक वो निकल रहा है और वो उसने जो है उन लोगों की जान बचाई। वो थोड़ा आप इस बारे में बताइएगा कि R&D के अंदर ऐसा कोई बॉक्स का प्रावधान हो सकता है ट्रैक्टर के अंदर जिसमें कोई सीढ़ी वगैरह लग सके। आप अपने एम्प्लॉय के बेनिफिट के ऊपर हमेशा ही आपने अच्छा काम किया है और एम्प्लॉय बेनिफिट एक्सपेंसेस आपने 12% बढ़ाया है, वो बहुत अच्छा लगा। और हम इतनी दूर बैठे हुए जो है आपसे जुड़ पाए हैं, इसमें आपके सेक्रेटरियल डिपार्टमेंट का बहुत योगदान रहा है, जो हम इतनी दूर बैठे हुए आपसे जुड़ पाए हैं और इस मीटिंग में हम शामिल हो पाए हैं। और मैं यही कहना चाहूँगा कि जैसे जैसे 76th AGM है हमारी, इसी के साथ साथ जो है भारत जो है अपना 75वां स्वतंत्रता दिवस मना रहा है, तो हमारा जो कंपनी का संयोग ही है कि जो उनकी AGM का टाइम है, उसी टाइम में हमारा जो देश है वो भी 75वीं सालगिरह मना रहा है अपनी स्वतंत्रता की। थैंक यू सर।
Thank you, Manjeet. It's now the turn of Dinesh Gopal Das Bhatia.
चेयरमैन श्री, बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर, मैं दिनेश भाटिया मुंबई से बोलता हूँ। फर्स्ट तो आपको और आपका एंटायर टीम को मैं कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन करता हूँ कि आप और आपकी टीम अच्छी मेहनत कर रही है, जिसके कारण हमारा मुनाफा भी काफी अच्छा होता जा रहा है। लास्ट ईयर से जो हमारा नेट प्रॉफिट जो हुआ है वो एक्सेलेंट 5 गुना हुआ है। लास्ट ईयर हमारा नेट प्रॉफिट आफ्टर टैक्स जो है वो 984 करोड़ का था, जिसके सामने ये साल का हमारा स्टैंड अलोन प्रॉफिट आफ्टर टैक्स जो है वो 4,935 करोड़ हुआ है, जो एक आप लोग की मेहनत और तरक्की दिखा है। स्टैंड अलोन तो ठीक है, हमारी सब्सिडियरी कंपनी भी अच्छा कमाई करती है। जो कंसोलिडेटेड हमारा जो मुनाफा है वो भी लास्ट ईयर का 1,512 करोड़ था, जिसके सामने ये साल का हमारा 7,253 करोड़ 7,253 करोड़ है, जो 5 गुना प्रॉफिट दिखा रहे हैं, 4 गुना से अधिक। ये आपकी और आपकी टीम की मेहनत दिखा रही है, जिसमें हम ये भी देख रहे हैं कि फाइनेंस कॉस्ट जो है कंसोलिडेटेड में वो लास्ट ईयर 6,100 करोड़ से अधिक थी, जिसके सामने ये साल में हमारी फाइनेंस कॉस्ट 5,000 करोड़ हो गई, जो 1,000 करोड़ का सेव किया है। वो एक बहुत अच्छी बात है। हमें लगता है आप लोग की मेहनत आगे ही आगे तरक्की कराएंगी कंपनी को, जो ये हमारा शेयर का भाव दिखा रही है। ₹5 का हमारा शेयर का जो भाव है आज की तारीख में 1138 के ऊपर ट्रेड हो रहा है स्टॉक मार्केट में। ये हमारी शेयर होल्डर प्रत्यय की अच्छी दिखा रही है, प्रोग्रेस दिखा रही है। तो हम आपको खाली एक ही रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे सर कि आप हो सके तो हमारा शेयर को स्प्लिट कीजिए। ₹5 का जो हमारा शेयर है उसको आप ₹1 का कीजिए, तो हमें एक शेयर के सामने 5 शेयर बन जाएंगे। तो हमें मिनी बोनस जैसा आएगा, जिसका हमारा बैलेंस शीट पर कोई रिफ्लेक्शन नहीं पड़ेगा, कोई कैपिटल नहीं बढ़ेगी, पर हमें 1 का 5 शेयर जैसा हो जाएगा। हमने 70 हम समझेंगे हम 75th ईयर के बदले ये साल हमने सेलिब्रेशन किया 5 शेयर बोनस के माफिक। और दूसरा आप जो देखेंगे तो अगर शेयर की संख्या बढ़ेगी तो मार्केट में वॉल्यूम भी बढ़ेगा और हमारा प्राइस मीडियम हो जाएगा, तो लोगों की इन्वेस्टमेंट की शक्ति भी बढ़ जाएगी। तो हो सके तो आप नेक्स्ट मीटिंग में आप और आपका बोर्ड मीटिंग करके ये चीज का आप सोचिए। और बाकी तो मैं आपका सेक्रेटरी टीम का भी आभार मानता हूँ। थैंक यू, ऑल द बेस्ट।
Thank you, Dinesh. And finally, it is the turn of Santosh Saraf.
माननीय सभापति जी, उपस्थित निदेशक सदस्यगण और अधिकारीगण और मेरे शेयर और भाई बहन जो आज हम वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस में प्रेजेंट हैं, मैं संतोष कुमार श्राफ कोलकाता से आप सभी को नमस्कार करता हूँ। आशा करता हूँ आप इस समय स्वस्थ और सुरक्षित होंगे। सर, मैं मैनेजमेंट को और उनकी टीम को बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ इतना अच्छा रिजल्ट देने के लिए और इतना अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस करने के लिए। मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ। आपने 231% डिविडेंड दिया कि कोविड के टाइम में इतनी तकलीफ के बाद भी आपने बहुत अच्छा डिविडेंड दिया, इसलिए मैं आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। एक सर, मैं आपका और अपनी अधिकारियों और कर्मचारियों का भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ, जिनकी कड़ी मेहनत का फल है कि आज हमें इतने अवार्ड्स मिले, इतने एक्लोड मिले, काफी अवार्ड एक्लोड मिले। ये उनकी कड़ी मेहनत में वो भी मैं तो धन्यवाद आशा करता हूँ उनसे इसी तरह फ्यूचर में भी काम करते रहेंगे तो हमें और भी अवार्ड मिलेंगे, हमारे कंपनी का नाम काफी ऊंचा होगा। तो ऐसे सर, महिंद्रा अपने आप में एक ब्रांड है, तो इसके बारे में तो कुछ बोलना नहीं है और मैं बोल भी नहीं रहा कि आपने इतना अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया कि और दिया, इसमें सभी चीज क्लियर हो गई। सर, मेरे छोटे छोटे 2-3 तो प्रश्न। एक तो सर, मेल और फीमेल एम्प्लॉय का रेशियो है वो काफी कम है सर। इस रेशियो का गैप जो है काफी, इसको कम करने के लिए क्या कदम उठा रहे बताइएगा सर। और मैं चाहूंगा कि अभी लेबर मिनिस्ट्री ने परमिशन दिया है किसी भी शिफ्ट में काम कर सकते हैं, तो इस पर भी विचार करिएगा सर, और विचार के उनका रेशियो बढ़ाइएगा। और सर, अभी तो अपने प्रेसिडेंट भी आदिवासी महिला बनी है और हमारी फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर भी लेडीज है सर। इसके अलावा सर, फीमेल एम्प्लॉय टॉपर देखते हैं, जितने भी फीमेल है वह पढ़ाई में भी टॉपर होते हैं, खेल कूद में भी टॉपर ही होते हैं, गोल्ड मेडल और देश का नाम उन्नति करते। मैं चाहूंगा उनको अगर मौका मिलेगा तो जरूर अपना हुनर दिखाएंगे और अच्छा करेंगे सर। एक सर, हमें सेक्रेटरी टीम में नारायण शंकर और उनके साथी जो हैं उनको भी धन्यवाद देता हूँ कि आज उनके कारण में ये आपके मीटिंग करने का मौका मिल रहा है सर। सर, यह है कि जितने भी अपने कर्मचारी हैं उनको हेल्थ एक्सीडेंट इंश्योरेंस, मैटरनिटी बेनिफिट, पैटर्निटी बेनिफिट और डेयर केयर की फैसिलिटी जरूर आप देते होंगे। लेकिन सर, मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट, अगले साल से बिजनेस रिस्पॉन्सिबल रिपोर्ट में इसको मेंशन किया जाए इंटीग्रेटेड रिपोर्ट के अंदर में, जिससे कि हमें पता लगे कि कितने आदमी इसमें कवर हो रहे हैं कितने नहीं है। सर, दूसरा मेरा है रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग के लिए आपने क्या कदम उठाए और एट प्रेजेंट क्या कैपेसिटी, इसके बारे में बताइएगा सर। तो सर, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के लिए यूज करने के लिए आपने क्या कदम बताए, अपने सोलर यूज कितना किए थे, विंड कितना कर रहे, इसके बारे में बताने की चेष्टा करिए सर। 1 जुलाई से सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक को गवर्नमेंट ने बैन कर दिया है, तो बहुत सी कंपनियां पैकेजिंग और आदि चीजों में सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक यूज करती है। आप अपने यहाँ क्या कदम उठाएं, क्या इंस्ट्रक्शन फैक्ट्रियों और ऑफिस में दिए, इसके बारे में बताने का सर। मैं ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा, मैं यही रिक्वेस्ट है जितने भी अपने कर्मचारी और उनकी फैमिली उनको बूस्टर जरूर दिलवा दीजिए। आप एडवाइस दिए और बूस्टर डोज ले लेंगे कि मैं दो दिन पहले कोविड से रिकवर हुआ मेरी 3 डोज लग चुकी थी, बोल के मुझे कोई खास असर नहीं हुआ। लेकिन फिर भी क्या है कि अगर मेरे कर्मचारी को बूस्टर डोज ले जाए तो आशा करता हूँ उनको भी किसी न किसी भविष्य में तकलीफ हो। लास्ट में सर यही रिक्वेस्ट है, अगले साल फिजिकल मीटिंग होगी या वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस मीटिंग हुई, हमारे हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते। लेकिन सर अगर फिजिकल मीटिंग करते तो मुझे कोई ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं है, लेकिन मैं चाहूंगा उसके साथ में पान इंडिया शेयर होल्डर के लिए वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस मीटिंग भी अवश्य रखें सर। और सर ये डुअल कंसर्न फ्यूचर के लिए अच्छा रहेगा। और हमारे भी कलकत्ता में केचुरा में इंडस्ट्री की मीटिंग थी 17 जून को, उन्होंने एक कंसर्न बनाया कला मंदिर के अंदर में, उनकी फिजिकल मीटिंग में जो प्रेसिडेंट उनको पहले बोलने का मौका दिया, फिर जो हाइब्रिड मीटिंग में रजिस्ट्रेशन कराए थे उनको बोलने का मौका दिया। ये कंसर्न मैं पिछले 6 साल से इन्फोसिस की मीटिंग अटेंड किया, 3 साल तो नहीं किया फिजिकल में, तो वो लोग भी वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस मीटिंग रखते थे फिजिकल के साथ में, और बॉम्बे वाले को मौका देते थे बोलने के लिए। तो मैं चाहूंगा ऐसा कंसेप्ट फ्यूचर में विचार करिएगा जो हमारे लिए और हम आपसे जुड़ने के लिए अच्छा रहेगा। फिर ज्यादा एक बार भगवान से फिर प्रार्थना करता हूँ, आप हमारे जितने डायरेक्टर अधिकारीगण जितने भी कर्मचारी जितने भी शेयर होल्डर आज वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस में प्रेजेंट है, भगवान उनके परिवार को लंबी उम्र दे और 2022 सभी के लिए वेल्दी हेल्दी और प्रोस्पेरस और सेफ्टी के साथ बीती। तो और समय देने के धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत, नमस्कार। एक बार फिर से।
Thank you, Santosh. Before I address the questions raised by you, I would like to share a short video.
मुबारक हो, बाप हुआ है, नाम है एन, स्कॉर्पियो एन, the big daddy of SUVs is here.
मेरा नाम लज्जो है। मेरे पड़ोस में जो बच्ची रहती है उसका नाम भी लज्जो है। मैं सुबह 8 बजे से काम पे लग जाती हूँ और ये लज्जो ये 5 बजे से ही जूझने लगती है। मेरी राय परिवार में कभी नहीं पूछी जाती, ना ही उसकी, बस काम ही काम। हमारी अम्मा ने बस हमें दूसरों के लिए जीना सिखाया है और बेचारी नन्ही लज्जो पे भी असमय ही बोझ आया है। हम दोनों रोज स्कूल के पास से गुजरते हैं पर कभी अंदर नहीं गए।
अरे बच्चों, कितना काम पड़ा है, चल जल्दी।
मेरी कहानी बदले न बदले, इस लज्जो की कहानी बदलनी चाहिए।
कुछ लोग बैकहो लोडर खरीदने कुछ इसी तरह से जाते हैं। लेकिन एक बैकहो लोडर ऐसा भी है जो सबकी आंखें खोल देगा। महिंद्रा अर्थ मास्टर BS4 जो देता है दो गारंटी। पहली परफॉर्मेंस की गारंटी, मतलब पाइए प्रति लीटर डीजल में सबसे ज्यादा प्रोडक्टिविटी, वरना कर दीजिए बैकहो लोडर वापस। दूसरी अप टाइम की गारंटी, मतलब अगर आपकी बंद मशीन 48 घंटे में चालू नहीं हुई तो आपको मिलेंगे 1000 रुपए हर दिन। इतना ही नहीं, महिंद्रा अर्थ मास्टर BS4 में है भरोसेमंद CRDI इंजन जिसका माइलेज है सबसे ज्यादा और मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट है कम। और साथ ही पाइए IMAX टेलीमैटिक्स टेक्नोलॉजी जो दे आपको अपने महिंद्रा बैकहो लोडर की पल पल की खबर। महिंद्रा अर्थ मास्टर BS4 दो गारंटी देने वाला देश का एकमात्र बैकहो लोडर।
Okay, now let me start answering all the questions. First with Arun's questions. You asked questions about electric vehicles and how will worries on range resolve. Well, your company's new EVs are in fact being unveiled on August 15th and they have a very long range. We are working on making larger batteries and more efficient cars to enable an even more extended range. You asked about how will we accelerate the delivery of vehicles, of EVs in particular, if there is a wait right now. And I would say that the waiting period on EVs experienced last year was more due to global supply chain problems. For EVs, we have a clear path laid out for our capacity expansion. And we've shared already the CapEx details, approximately 8,000 crores between the financial year 24 through financial year 27. And we've done that through multiple press releases. You can stay tuned for the reveal of our Born Electric vision in Oxfordshire, the UK, on the 15th of August this year, where we will reveal more details. You asked about whether diesel cars will become irrelevant. And then you also asked about the EV mission and our ambitions. I'm going to combine the answers to those questions. Your company's business plan envisages an EV penetration of 20 to 30% on the overall SUV portfolio by the year 2027. The ICE portfolio, which is the internal combustion engine portfolio, will continue to be a significant portion, almost 70 to 80% of the SUV business for Mahindra. We will continue our growth trajectory by leveraging those strengths. Your next question, Arun, was about One Nation, One Grid, Gati Shakti, and what impact will it have on M&M. Well, we are encouraged by the government's various interventions towards power tariffs and the One Nation, One Grid model to ensure power connectivity to multiple states at affordable rates. And that's definitely going to help improve electricity availability and therefore increase options for EV charging. You asked about whether we would fund and when we would fund a supercharger. Well, your company's current focus is to develop world-class EV products with best-in-class performance attributes, with an extreme emphasis on localization. And that will make the EVs more aspirational and yet affordable. Simultaneously, we are working to ensure that our customers have adequate charging options when they buy the car. Your next question, Arun, was a broad one. When will M&M profits be larger? You know, we don't answer forward we don't make forward statements. So I think you knew I was not going to answer that question specifically. But I should point out to you that our AFS revenue growth for the year F22 was a healthy 29%. Your next question was about petrol, diesel engines and the number of parts compared to electric cars. And you're correct that the electric powertrain has fewer parts than an ICE powertrain. I would say, though, that it's not necessarily 1,000 times less as you stated. Electric powertrains have fewer parts and much fewer moving parts, which reduces the need for regular maintenance and servicing. However, the components themselves are much more complex and they're often high voltage. So you do have to have expert guidance and sufficient training to change parts. So it's not a clear win. There are benefits and there are going to be challenges for sure. You said, will the children of tomorrow be free of driver's license? No, I hope not. EV cars will still need to be driven the way we drive ICE engine vehicles, and everyone is going to need training. You talked about automation and autonomous cars and whether that will help reduce accidents. You know, we've always had a very big focus on safety, and we're building some of the safest cars in the world and using tech features that improve safety for our vehicles. One example you would have seen is the ADAS feature in the XUV 700. You asked about the strategy that we are going to adopt with pricing. Well, your company has taken price increases to pass on the rising commodity prices. However, we aim to limit the impact of the rise in commodity prices through concerted efforts towards cost reduction with initiatives such as VAV, as it's called, value analysis and value engineering. You asked about our optimism on our EV portfolio growing and what the CAGR is. Well, our business plan envisages an EV penetration of 20 to 30% of the overall SUV portfolio by 2027. And we are confident of delivering that 20-30% by 2027. Next, you asked our plans to create value and employment to underprivileged, for women and for creating leaders. Good, interesting question at every level. We have a stated policy on equal opportunities for employment, which reflects in the employment opportunities provided to the underprivileged, in direct and indirect employment. And this is across manufacturing and office locations. Further, I must tell you, we are working to empower 1 million plus women to take up jobs by training them across different parts of the value chain. I think that answers your very interesting questions, Arun. I'll now move to the questions of Homa Purdehi. Homa, you asked a question about the global recession, and I want to answer that question. The industries we are part of are actually not immune to the global economy, and therefore eventually we will be impacted in case of a prolonged global slowdown. But having said that, please refer to the presentation I made in the beginning and you'll see my optimism. And I'm confident that since we've emerged from past recessions in a very robust way, that points to the resilience of our business. We are watching the leading global indicators closely, and we will tweak and modify our strategy in case of an impending slowdown. You then asked about startups and fintechs. Well, you also raised some very interesting questions about taking advantage of the customer base. Now, digital platforms present an avenue to tap into shifting profit pools. That will allow us to achieve what is called non-linear growth and value creation. And we've actually set up the Mahindra Digital Fund to invest in this space. And we've outlined a very clear approach for this. We want to prioritize sectors where we have some synergy with the group business. We'll follow a very agile model to experiment and provide the opportunity for the experienced entrepreneurial team to run operations. Now, specifically on your very interesting point about leveraging the vast customer base of the group, that's a priority for us, beyond digital growth as well. And we are building out a common customer database for higher synergies across businesses and to curate customer journeys for providing customer delight across all our businesses. I hope that answers your questions, Homa. I'll now answer the questions of Asha Lata ji. Asha Lata ji, आप तो जानते हैं कि मुझे और हमारे सारे शेयर होल्डरों को कितनी खुशी होती है आपको देखकर. आपकी कविताओं के बगैर हमारी मीटिंग अधूरी रह जाती. आपने भी संदेशे कुछ भेजे हैं पवन गोयनका जी के लिए और केशव साहब के लिए. I will make sure that they get the messages. Thank you. वैसे तो आपके कोई खास सवाल नहीं थे. So I will move on to the next questions from Kaushik Sahukar. Kaushik, you asked about the working of the organization on assignments related to the certification of 15 CB. Well, we've noted your request, and I'm going to request our finance team to explore the feasibility of your suggestion. You also asked about the metaverse and how it will transform our enterprise. Interesting question. The metaverse presents opportunities in enhanced and immersive customer experiences and connectivity for vehicles. Fortunately, our own sister company, Tech Mahindra, is very well equipped with the capabilities and domain knowledge required to help us in our metaverse journey. That said, the space is still in the initial stages, and we are right now exploring opportunities in the form of very small pilots. I believe that takes care of your questions. Now I'll move to Mukesh Ajmera ji. Mukesh ji, you had very kind words to say. Thank you about that. And you also talked about our ESG initiatives. You had very generous words and suggestions, but no questions. So thank you again for being with us today. And now move to the questions raised by the sons of shareholder Nihar Mahinder Singh. You asked, well, you made a lot of very, very generous comments first, both of you, and I want to thank you for being a very valuable and committed member of the Mahindra family. And with the legacy of being shareholders for 4 generations, you are as much a part of our journey to rise as any of us. And to be honest, I really genuinely feel that it's because of shareholders like you that we stand strong today. With families like yours by our side, I know that our 100th year is going to be even more exciting than our 75th. I move on to the questions of Gautam Tiwari. Now, you were very, again, warm and conveyed your congratulations, for which I want to thank you. You asked about the impact of the Russia and Ukraine war on M&M. And most of our materials vendors are based in India, hence the geopolitical crisis in Europe is having limited impact. However, some of our tier 1 vendors may have a supply chain in Europe, and that could be small. So there could be some impact. So largely the Ukraine's key impact on the business has been on increased material costs. You then asked about what steps we'll take to remain the number 1 electric three-wheeler company. And I'm proud to say that we have a 70% market share in the e-three-wheeler segment. You would have seen that for the month of July again, the sales data is out, and once again we remain the leaders. We've had phenomenal growth again year on year. We are working actively across all aspects of the product so that products give a higher income to customers. We're going to increase the reach of our channels. We're going to have better financing in our ecosystem, and I'm confident we will maintain the number 1 EV market share in this segment. You then asked about steps to include sustainable business practices in our decisions. And I should tell you we are focusing on 2 key levers. First, the decarbonization of operations through actions in energy efficiency and the increased use of renewable energy. Number 2, carbon sequestration by creating carbon sinks via our flagship tree plantation program, which is called Haryali. You can find additional details on page 30 of the annual report. You wanted to know what is the response towards our petrol and diesel variants because the electric vehicle segment is growing. Well, our business plan envisages an EV penetration, as I've just mentioned in response to an earlier answer, of 20 to 30% of our portfolio by 2027. The internal combustion engine portfolio will continue to be a significant portion of the SUV business for Mahindra. So we intend to continue our growth trajectory by leveraging all our strengths. You then asked about our development strategy with regard to electric tractors. Well, you've seen that the EV cycle has played out well for us in three-wheelers, where we are market leaders with about 65 to 70% market share. The EV cycle in four-wheelers is just starting, we believe. My personal belief is that actually implementing the electric tractors in agriculture is in fact more easy to do, and yet I think adoption will be a little distance away. But I'm very, very confident that those two will come, and when it comes, we will be leaders. You then asked about increasing demand for our new blockbuster products like the XUV 700 and all that. And you talked about the problems of semiconductors in ensuring delivery. Well, the global automotive industry was severely affected due to the semiconductor unavailability, and as a result, the company lost significant volumes in the first 2 quarters of F22. But we took countermeasures to mitigate the risk. That helped us increase volumes in the second half of the year. Efforts are continuing to de-risk the supply chain to meet business demand. You talked about the company entering into NFTs, and are there any other products which are suitable for NFTs? Well, it's a very new space. Everybody's exploring it. It's an exciting space for us to engage with our digitally savvy customers and enthusiasts. And we want to show that we can adopt the latest trends in technology. So I think definitely iconic brands from the house of Mahindra such as the Thar, Scorpio N and the XUV, which command a huge affinity and brand equity, will have a natural fit for creating unique NFT collectibles. Your next question was about our use of renewable energy and how do we ensure that we are moving on this. Well, I must tell you, we are committed to using 100% renewable electricity for our operations, and we have an interim milestone to achieve 50% renewable electricity by 2025. Our renewable energy capacity at the end of FY22 was 18.8 megawatts of solar and 11.3 megawatts of wind. Next question was about the Krishi initiative of the company and how is it going, etc. Well, we are trying to use technology in all parts of the business. We are using and leveraging technology in Krishi. We've launched our connected car XUV 700, which has a suite of tech-enabled features, making it an industry first. Similarly, such features are going to be added in the Scorpio N and in the models going forward. You asked about future endeavors of the company in response to farm mechanization apart from tractors. Well, interesting question, because we have a very aggressive growth strategy for farm machinery where we want to strengthen our focus on farm mechanization solutions. And with increasing labor cost and scarcity, the greater adoption of various forms of mechanization is the way forward. In F22, we actually introduced new heavy rotavators and smart rotavators. And you may have seen on media that Swaraj Tractors launched the Code, a product called Code, which is a revolutionary solution for horticulture farming. So we believe we will continue to launch new implements and farm machinery throughout our centers of excellence, or rather through our centers of excellence in Turkey, Finland and Japan through our subsidiaries. The idea really is to bring all those products engineered and further develop them for Indian conditions and at Indian prices for the farmers. A general question then about how we are going to grow in difficult and challenging times in both auto and farm. And at the end of the day, it's all about your people and about your teams. We have a fantastic team that is constantly evaluating the possibility of different scenarios. And as they do so, they evaluate how to mitigate risk so that we continue to grow, but profitably. Okay, I'm now going to take the questions or answer the questions of Praful Chawda. Probably पहला सवाल जो आपका था was about electronic cars. Well, we are going to leverage our existing ecosystem of suppliers, dealers, manufacturing plants, global product development and design for building our EVs. And we are ensuring the safety of cars by using the best battery chemistry and multiple testing to ensure that they are safe. और EVs के बारे में आप ज़्यादा सुनने वाले हैं 15 अगस्त को when we do our launch of the Born Electric Vision. फिर आपने पूछा पेट्रोल डीजल का प्रोडक्शन कितना कम करके इलेक्ट्रॉनिक में कितना आगे बढ़ेंगे. मैंने पहले भी एक ऐसे सवाल का जवाब दिया, मैं दोहरा लेता हूं कि our business plan envisages an EV penetration of 20 to 30% of the portfolio. I've already said that. So it's going to be a significant portion will continue to be the old internal combustion engines. And as I've said before, we will leverage our combined strengths. फिर आपने पूछा about lithium battery और आप कह रहे थे कि सुनने में आया कि सरकार कह रही है कि सोडियम में बैटरी आ जाएंगे, सोडियम के बैटरीज बनेंगे और उसके बारे में इस विषय पे आप सवाल कर रहे थे. और ये सच है कि सोडियम ज़्यादा सस्ता है और it's more abundant, but sodium ion technology is still behind lithium ion. We are keeping a close watch on all battery technologies and all multiple technologies in the development phase. फिर आपने पूछा about भविष्य में 4-5 साल में जब आपने कहा कि कंप्लीट इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गाड़ी का ज़माना आ जाएगा और आपने पूछा मैं कुछ बोलना चाहता हूँ. काफ़ी कुछ तो मैंने बोल भी मैंने अभी बताया सब शेयरहोल्डर्स को जिन्होंने ऐसा ही सवाल पूछा था. बट so it'll be very repetitive, but as I told you, we are planning to have at least 30% of our portfolio by the year 2027. अगला सवाल आपका था कि माइलस्टोन्स रहने चाहिए एंड यू आर आस्किंग अबाउट 1 लाख करोड़ टर्नओवर का गोल जो मिस हो गया है. Well, you've seen we've launched very new vehicles recently. We've had a number of them. We've had blockbuster sales and we've got a robust new product pipeline. तो आपको भरोसा होना चाहिए that we will get onto the path for achieving all the milestones you want in the near future. Next question you asked about services. Service station में आप कह रहे थे कि काफ़ी problems होते हैं. And you talked a little bit about that. You talked in little detail about all the service problems. तो मुझे लगता है कि आपका जो ये सवाल नहीं था, लेकिन आप कुछ सजेशन दे रहे थे. And I want to assure you that we believe in providing transparent and timely services. Now beyond that, I'm sure that the relevant teams will evaluate the suggestion. They are hearing the AGM and we will get back to you, but I'm sure that they will explore all the recommendations you've taken. आपका सवाल था about sports, Olympics और you were feeling some regret. तो ये बहुत अच्छा सवाल आपने पूछा और सजेशंस भी किए, शुक्रिया। आपने जो सवाल किया है ये हमारे मन में भी कई बार आया है। पिछले साल हमने हमारे CSR का फोकस 3 क्षेत्र में लाया। पहला हरियाली, जहां हम 1 मिलियन ट्रीज को प्लांट करते हैं सालाना। दूसरा नन्ही कली, जहां हम 2 लाख से अधिक बच्चियों को पढ़ाते हैं। और तीसरा नानी सशक्तिकरण, जहां हम आज 1 लाख से अधिक महिलाओं को आर्थिक रूप से स्वातंत्रित कर रहे हैं। हमारी इस एफर्ट से करीबन आई वुड से अबाउट 5 to 6 मिलियन फैमिलीज पर असर हो रहा है और प्रभावित कर रहे हैं। So that was I think I've answered all your questions. Thank you for a very, very interesting set of questions. I will now move to Shobna Mehta. शोभना जी, आपने कहा कि आपने संदेशा भेजा था केशव महिंद्रा जी के लिए, मैं ज़रूर उन तक पहुंचा दूंगा। Again, I want to express my gratitude to you that despite the bereavement you have suffered, you have attended this AGM. Thank you very much. Mrs. Mascarenhas, your questions. Once again, thank you for all your very warm words of support. And then you had some questions about CSR and about the ratings. So I want to answer by telling you that your company and the Mahindra Group as a whole have been leading the way on sustainability. We have now set a higher bar to becoming planet positive. Mahindra is rated very highly in the ESG space in both India and the world. I won't go through all the ratings, but the key ones I'd like to highlight are the CDP. We've been rated A, the highest rating for climate change and water security in 2020 and 21. And your company is the only automotive company in India, one of only 9 auto companies in the world to receive this rating. Then there's the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, and we are the only Indian automotive company on the list and one of only 6 automotive companies worldwide to be featured in that index. Coming closer to home, there's CRISIL, where we are rated highest amongst all OEMs in ESG ratings for India in 2021. You had a question about the staff working. Well, since government regulations were relieved after wave 2, we've been working from the office while following guidance from government bodies where our plants and offices are located. You then asked about our market share in SUVs. We've been India's #1 SUV player for a few quarters now, and that's for genuine SUVs, authentic SUVs as we call them. You talked about margins in tractors. Well, the PBIT margins for F22, which are in the public domain, stand at 18.1%, and we give that in the segment reporting. You then asked about geopolitical issues affecting us and how we are handling these problems. Again, I've answered this in to previous questioners. I'll repeat that most of our material vendors are based in India and hence the impact is limited. But some of our tier 1 vendors may have a supply chain in Europe, and yet I think the influence will be small. So far the only impact on us has been an increased material costs. You talked about our export and import and about the falling rupee and whether it will benefit us. Our imports are predominantly in Japanese yen, euro, and in KRW, the won. And while Indian rupee has depreciated against US dollar, it's appreciated against our key importing currencies, the ones I just mentioned. And hence the current movement so far, the currency movements so far have been favorable to us on imports and exports. I'd like to note that your company is guided by a very robust foreign exchange risk management policy, and therefore the hedging of exports and imports is carried out very efficiently to minimize the impact of currency movements. You referred to the semiconductor and chips and how we are trying to solve that problem. Again, I've answered this, so I'll be very brief. It was severely affected to the availability, and we did lose volumes in the first 2 quarters of F22. But we've taken countermeasures to mitigate the risk, and that's helped increase the volumes in the second half of the year. Efforts are continuing to de-risk the supply chain. You next asked about whether we could help out for shareholders who have shares in the physical form. To be honest, there's no plan for any buyback from from shareholders holding shares in physical form. All the corporate actions, as and when decided by the board of directors of the companies, are in accordance with SEBI guidelines prevalent. But I would strongly recommend that you consider getting your shares dematerialized. I'll now answer the questions of Lekha Shah. Lekha Ben, you asked about the pandemic and the effect on our manufacturing plants. Well, we temporarily shut down our plant as per COVID advisories issued by the government of India from time to time. But post the easing of restrictions, we opened all our plants. And yet we are following all COVID-related protocols as per government guidelines. You next talked about losses at our subsidiaries and what steps we were taking. You'll be glad to know that our company has delivered profitability in 8 consecutive quarters, over 8 consecutive quarters for the FES subsidiaries. And further, we are closely tracking the performance of all our subsidiaries, and I assure you we will be improving their profitability in the future. You asked about market share in tractors. For F22, tractor market share stands at 40%, which includes our Gromax brand. You then asked about the expenditure and capex plan for R&D for 2021 and 22. You wanted to know. That's in the public domain and you can see it. The reports, our AFS capex plan for F22 to F24 though is 14,300 crores. And that includes capex for auto, including EV and the farm sectors. I think that takes care of your questions, Lekha Ben. I'll now move to Mr. Vinod Agarwal. Vinodji, you reeled off a huge amount of numbers from the annual report. You know them like all these numbers, they're at the back of your hand. So I must compliment you for the kind of study you put in. Your first question though was about the tie-up for lithium-ion batteries, and we're identifying sources of batteries for our cars, and that includes potential partnerships to ensure that we have a robust supply. Your next question was about production loss to chip shortage. I think I've answered that question earlier to people, so I won't repeat it and waste the time of shareholders. Let me move to your next question. You asked about the production loss due to chip shortage. In fact, a couple of shareholders had asked this question before, so I won't bore you by repeating their answers if you don't mind. I think I've already dealt with that. And that, I think, brings us to the end of your questions. We now move to Mr. Jaideep Bakshi and his questions. You first asked about the revenue. You wanted to know about the revenue generated from the auto and the farm sector and future plans. Now, as per the standalone segment reporting which we give, the auto sector generated 35,587 crores of revenue, while the farm sector generated 19,767. You then asked about our progress on carbon neutralization by 2040. Well, climate change is one of the biggest challenges the world is facing today. We are seeing that everyone in the world is experiencing that this summer. We at Mahindra have committed to become carbon neutral on our scope 1, which is direct emissions at our locations, and scope 2, which is indirect emissions due to electrical power purchased and consumed, those emissions by 2040. We are moving towards our target by focusing on 2 key levers. 1, decarbonization of operations through actions in energy efficiency and increased use of renewable energy. And 2, carbon sequestration by creating carbon sinks via our flagship tree plantation program, Hariyali. I've already referred to this earlier. There are more details available on page 30 of the annual report. You then talked about technology implementation plans, which were mentioned in pages 26 and 27. And I'm glad you asked this question, because most of the points listed on page 26 and 27 for our digital transformation have already been implemented. You asked about targets for expenditure for R&D and in fact any general further expenditure plans. I think I've already referred to this earlier to a question where I gave the details of the capex from F22 to F24, which is 14,300 crores. Again, a question asked by people before about the shortage of microprocessors, so I won't repeat my answers and again take your time. We've already dealt with this and I told you we are further de-risking the supply chain. Your next question was about the plans for opening up manufacturing units in the east. Right now, we are not looking at setting up a new plant. We have a tractor plant coming up as an expansion in Mohali, but apart from that, there are no real new plans now, but we will continue to typically assess locations based on supplier availability, market potential, other economic factors, and of course, not the least important, the contributions we can make to the community where we are based. You then asked about highlighting on cost control steps and raw material prices. We've taken price increases to pass on rising commodity prices, but we aim to limit the impact of the rise in commodity prices through efforts towards cost reduction. And again, I've referred to this earlier. We will focus a lot on value analysis and value engineering. Your next question was about tie-ups for technology upgradation. Well, in addition to our cutting-edge research across R&D centers and constantly evaluating the role of technology, we are exploring many alliance opportunities. And we have R&D centers in Finland, the UK, Chennai, where new products and technologies are being researched and developed. We've also set up a partnership with Volkswagen recently, which you may have read about, for developing platforms for our BEVs. Next, I think that covered all your questions. I'll now move on to the questions raised by Shailesh Mahadevia. Shailesh bhai, good to see you as always. You were very congratulatory in general, and you've always been a big supporter, so thank you for that. You again talked about shortage of semiconductors. I won't refer to that again. You have seen I've answered it in great detail, but you asked about other products. And while we are identifying sources of batteries for our cars, this includes potential partnerships so that we have a robust supply in future. Then you talked about our director's report and our policies such as dividend, etc., business responsibility. And you also you referred to our profit. You quoted a number of figures from the standalone. And you asked and urged us to act on the basis of consolidated and not standalone. Point is noted. We will consider that. CSR expenditure dividend are based by law, however, on standalone company results. The group companies themselves declare dividend and do CSR expenditure as required based on their standalone results. So in a way, the sum of that is the consolidated actions for the Mahindra Group. You then asked about our CSR work, and you talked about the IA, or the Impact Assessment Report, for many of our activities. And you again very detailed in your question, noting everything we had done and giving some strong suggestions. And I want to thank you for asking this, because at Mahindra we believe that community development projects need to factor in the multiplier effect through multi-stakeholder engagement. And the benefit is both subjective as well as objective. It goes far beyond putting a monetary value into it. And the programs and their impact assessment for the CSR arms of the company are available on our website. Next, you asked about foreign exchange during the year. Once again, you made very detailed notes of the numbers to support your question. And I must tell you, we continue to grow our exports in target markets in the AFS sectors. Over the last couple of years, we've turned profitable across international subsidiaries. Next, you talked about the World Economic Development Forecast. Again, I compliment you on your detailed question and your quoting of numbers. I ask you to refer to my presentation again. I said that India has always been resilient. And if you look at the shocks over the last 3 decades, the long-term India story always stays alive. I won't repeat all the points from my presentation, but I believe that that did cover the answers to this question. Next, your next question was, sorry, that was the last question you had, Shailesh bhai. So I think it's time for me to move on to Mr. Rangwala. Yusuf bhai, you asked, well, you first gave congratulatory messages to the Secretarial Department. Thank you for your good wishes. And you also greeted us in advance for festivals. I appreciate that. You talked about a bonus. I was wondering when the bonus question would come. And you talked about how 4 years have gone. Well, all I can say, as I usually do, is the board will deliberate and place for approval of the shareholder the issue of bonus shares at the appropriate time. You talked about models and their introduction. I don't have to tell you, you've seen that our team has done brilliantly in the recent launches, and you've just seen and heard about Scorpio N bookings. And that has been replicated in its own way across the FES business as well, the farm equipment sector as well, with the successful launch of the Uvo Tech Plus and other models. We've got multiple launches planned this year across passenger vehicles, commercial vehicles, and our farm products. The most immediate next launch is the Born Electric Vehicles Unveil, scheduled on 15th August, where we will be displaying our electric vehicle lineup. And in addition to that, we have the K2 lightweight tractor platform being launched this year for the farm business. And you may have heard about Swaraj launching the Code product for horticulture, which I again referred to earlier. You asked about our leadership. Well, we are leaders in the farm sector with 40% market share in F22. We were number one in revenue market share in SUVs in the second half of F22 and in the quarter 4 of F22. We are also leaders in electric three-wheelers with 73.4% market share in F22. You then asked about the number of staff. Totals about 20,000 with about 9,000 officers, and the rest would be permanent workmen. You asked about COVID-19 and about people affected. Well, the impact of COVID-19 in our factories was in line with what we witnessed in general in respective cities and locations across the countries. You asked about exports. In F22 for auto and farm sectors, our export numbers are 32,427 and 17,646. Both of these represent a greater than 50% growth over F21 numbers. We export to many regions across the world, including Southeast Asia, Middle East, Australia, New Zealand, parts of Africa, North America, and South America. You asked about the benefits from this. Well, we receive benefits from the government incentive export schemes like the Merchandise Export from India scheme, MEIS as it's called, and the Duty Drawback scheme. Thank you again for your very detailed list of questions. Tamal, we come to you. Now I'm going to have to take a deep breath and start answering what I know will be very detailed and lengthy questions from you. Your first question was about the segment accounts. You quoted the pages, you quoted the numbers. I won't repeat all of them, but you really wanted to ask about the segments. And there I can tell you that M&M has just declared its Q1 F23 consolidated numbers, and it can be seen that the company is on the right track. But as you know, the company doesn't make forward-looking statements about numbers. So I apologize for that very brief answer, but you know that's consistent with our policy. Then you talked about the Scorpio, and you wanted to know about my view on Scorpio Classic, etc. Well, Scorpio is a beloved product in our stable, as you know. It's become an icon over the years, has its loyal fan following, it's achieved various milestones. And we have launched the Scorpio N after completing 20 years of the Scorpio. But meanwhile, for our Scorpio loyalists, the existing product will continue as the Scorpio Classic, and we think there will be a good number of people who would like the Classic product to continue and will patronize it. Next, you talked about cars and why are we in that shape and the depreciation on assets affecting the profitability. Well, we are now working on launching the XUV 400, which will be our first EV product. We are very excited about this product and have leveraged a lot of learnings from prior experiences. And we think we should enjoy the same success with this product as we've been achieving with other non-EV products recently. You then had questions about SsangYong and whether we'd have to bear any loss, etc. Well, you know, you've been following us. You're a detailed reader of the balance sheet, so you know that the company has made adequate provisioning for SsangYong Motor Company. Any further write-off, if any, will only be crystallized when the rehabilitation process is over at SYMC, but we do not see any major burden anymore coming on us from that. Next, you talked about SsangYong as our subsidiary, and you talked about the loss and how we considered that loss in consolidated accounts. Well, since we continue to hold more than 50% of the share capital of SYMC, even as it is being restructured, it still remains a subsidiary under the Companies Act. But in the accounts, the company stopped consolidating SYMC as a subsidiary from Q4 FY21, and therefore no part of the SYMC loss is considered in the consolidated books of M&M. Next, you asked about, you had noted from page 249 about operating revenues from oil royalty and so on. Oil royalty is earned from oil companies on account of sharing the oil mix formula with the oil company which best suits Mahindra vehicle performance. The use of M&M branding by oil companies and the use of our dealer channel by oil companies for the retail sales of the product. That's where the royalties come from. You said that you support the cleanup operation carried out by our company and so on. Appreciate your comments that the team is hearing. You had a number of questions about impairment and some detailed questions which I'll answer. And yes, as and when there are positive indicators and improved business performance, the company, as per its internal policy, takes a call on write-backs. The company's capital allocation focus will drive these decisions in the future. In FY22, we have reversed the provision related to a foreign subsidiary based on the turnaround in its performance. Next, you asked about the XUV 700, just ahead of 75th Independence Day, and you were very complimentary and gave us good wishes about the 15th August. You asked about my position. Well, we're excited about the August 15 launch, and we are looking forward to being market leaders in EVs as well over the years. Next, you talked about our investment in Mahindra Automotive Mauritius and about its increase by 316 crores and about the losses that it had shown. You wanted my thoughts on that. Well, the investment is mainly at Automobili Pininfarina for product development of the Battista, which is an electric hypercar and puts us in a different bracket completely in terms of brand and technology. During the year, the company was in the product development phase and hence no sales were recorded till F22. But we think strong interest is growing for it, and we've built the prototype and pre-series Battista model. Testing activities are progressing well from what I'm told, and the production of customer cars have started. Next, you talked about the total patent granted portfolio, and you noted the number correctly. And what benefit do you asked, do we derive from that? Well, within the AFS sector, our patents have allowed us to keep proprietary technology and use it to make cars that enable us to stand out amongst our competition. And that accounts for the success of our launches. You then asked about the rationale for winding up loans and investment committee. Very observant of you. Well, simplification was the major reason, as a large part of the committee's role was execution of the delegated powers of the board for matters which were already considered and approved by the board. So the board took a good look at it and felt it was redundant at this point. And the matter of the L&I committee has now been delegated to a strategic investment committee and senior manager of the company based on the threshold of investments. Well, I think that covers your questions, Tamal Bhai, and I'm glad, thank you. They were a shorter list as we had requested, but a very good list of questions. Thank you. I'll now move to Kirti Bhai Shah. Kirti Bhai, I think आपका पहला सवाल था about कि कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा था कि ऐसे इतने बड़े profits कैसे आए हैं. Now, there are three major reasons for the increase in profit in FY22. First, FY21 had SsangYong Motor Company losses of around 2,200 crores till Q3 FY21. And that's not there in FY22 because we no longer consolidated. Second, in FY21, there were very high impairments coming out of our focus on capital allocation, and that brought a swing of approximately 1,600 crores. The balance increase in profit is because of operational performance improvement in F22 and F21. And of course, that was 21 being impacted, F21 being impacted severely by lockdown on account of COVID. So naturally, they showed a big jump in profits. फिर आपने पूछा about P. आप मेरे ख्याल से हर साल ये सवाल पूछते हैं हमसे क्यों इतना P low है, and you gave some comparisons. Well, our job as a company is to create value by developing great products and offering the right value proposition to our customers. So I don't want to comment on valuation. That is best left to be decided by investors and by you all. But I should point out that your company delivered an impressive annualized return of 31% during the period of 2001 to 2018. And you'd be happy to note that in Q1 of the current financial year, your company's share price appreciated by more than 35%. And frankly, we were the leader in value creation amongst all Nifty and Sensex companies. So we are focusing on the job of value creation. And when you focus on the job of creating value, I'm sure valuation will take care of itself. फिर आपका ये भी आपका एक फेवरेट सवाल है जो आपने पूछा अबाउट शेयर होल्डर एंड प्रमोटर होल्डिंग 19.45% एंड इतना कम क्यों है आपने पूछा. वेल यू नो लेट मी से वी आर stable shareholders and we will continue to be so over the long run. Our motivation is not to increase our holding but to do right by you and to build value for you. That has been the focus of the Mahindra promoters over time. It is not about control, it's about delivering value. Thank you for your questions, Kirtibai. I now move to Mr. Manjeet Singh. मंजीत जी, आपने पहला पूछा था अबाउट ब्राज़ील का क्या प्लान है हमारे लिए और आपको कुछ जानकारी चाहिए थी अबाउट आवर ट्रैक्टर फैसिलिटी. वेल, ब्राज़ील इज़ एन इम्पोर्टेंट एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट फॉर अस and we've seen very high growth there over the last quarters and we are actually very excited about our business in Brazil. फिर आपने पूछा अबाउट महिंद्रा इलेक्ट्रिक, हमारी जो सब्सिडरी है, टू व्हीलर्स वगैरह, और अगर हमारे कोई इरादे हैं इसको लिस्ट करने के लिए. वेल, द महिंद्रा इलेक्ट्रिक मर्जर स्कीम एक्शंस आर इन प्रोग्रेस and as I just said in my answer to Kirti Bhai that we believe in value creation and we will list subsidiaries at the appropriate time. फिर आपने फेस्टिवल सीजन का जिक्र किया था एंड यू सेड क्या तैयारी कर रहे हैं इसके लिए. वेल, इट्स एन इम्पॉर्टेंट टाइम फॉर अस अक्रॉस ऑटो एंड फार्म. And we plan for these events to take maximum benefit of the seasonality in business. In the past years, we've had multiple launches in July, really from the July to August time frame to maximize our impact in festival season. I've mentioned already we are having our unveiling of the BEVs, which is the Born Electric Vehicles, on 15th August, and then we have the launch of the XUV 400. We are also launching the new pickup 10th of August. फिर आपने पूछा about corporate actions and you wanted to know about buybacks also. Now there's no plan right now for any buyback from shareholders. All these kinds of actions, when decided by the board, as I've said earlier, will be in accordance with SEBI guidelines which are prevalent at that time. अगला सवाल आपका टेक महिंद्रा, हमारा जो शेयर होल्डिंग है, महिंद्रा फाइनेंस एंड महिंद्रा हॉलीडेज, एंड यू आर आस्किंग अबाउट पॉसिबल sales of these holdings. Well, we have a strong capital allocation focus and we will take appropriate actions when deemed necessary for the benefit of M&M and its stakeholders. Then आपने पूछा था about R&D center की क्या position है and are we raising expenditure in the R&D? And I agree with you, it's critical for us to develop our new range of products. We have research centers in multiple parts of the world. I mentioned them before. Chennai, UK, Finland, Detroit. And it's that investment in R&D which enables us to make leading products for our customers. फिर आपने ट्रैक्टर के बारे में एक सवाल पूछा था and you talked, it was a long question, so I will not repeat the whole question. I just want to thank you for your suggestion because there were some ideas you shared with us, some thoughts and some recommendations, and as you know, all our teams are listening to the AGM and they will hear you and look at the feasibility of this idea. Thank you for your questions. Next, I'll move to the questions of Mr. Dinesh Bhatia. But Dinesh ji, आपने कुछ सवाल तो नहीं पूछा. You just suggested a stock split, and as again I've referred to this when there were questions on bonus shares, and we will consider and decide on a stock split at the appropriate time. Thank you for your suggestion. And finally, I'll answer the question of Mr. Santosh Saraf. You had asked a question about female employees का क्या ratio है, काफ़ी कम है जैसे आपने note किया. And I want to thank you for asking this question. It's a topic very close to my heart. And we have a four-pronged strategy to solve this problem. Very strong focus on entry-level hiring, where more than 25% of hiring is of women. In lateral hiring also, we have taken a target to hire more women associates. A lot more focus on career progression of women inside the organization. And finally, a focus on women-friendly HR policies. So I assure you, this is an area of our focus and we will make progress. फिर आपने पूछा about लेबर मिनिस्ट्री और आपने कहा कि उन्होंने कुछ परमिशन दिया है, किसी भी शिफ्ट में काम कर सकते हैं, etc. etc. I want to show you guidelines issued by the Labour Ministry are already implemented. अगला सवाल था आपका रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग के विषय पर and you asked क्या capacity है वगैरह. Well, all our manufacturing locations have structures to collect rainwater from the roof and store it in a pond or collection unit. Now, this collected rainwater is further used for domestic application as well as for process applications, industrial applications, after necessary treatment. And जहाँ तक आंकड़ों का सवाल है, in F22, about 64,000 kiloliters of rainwater was harvested across the company's premises. Now, beyond this, we also do integrated watershed development programs across the country, and that's led to 11,000 lakh liters in groundwater recharge. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear this news. Next, you asked about renewable energy, उसके sources का इस्तेमाल करने के लिए क्या कदम उठा रहे हैं हम लोग. We are committed to using 100% renewable electricity for our operations with an interim milestone to achieve 50% renewable electricity by 2025. Our renewable energy capacity, and I mentioned this earlier, at the end of F22 was 18.8 megawatts for solar and 11.3 megawatts for wind. I'm glad to see all your focus on environmental matters, sustainability. Your questions are very, very noble questions in my opinion. At Mahindra, we aim to be one of the most sustainability focused companies. We are committed to becoming carbon neutral, to zero landfill, etc. over the coming years. And we are looking forward to doing our bit to reduce the pressure on the environment. I think that covers your questions, Shri Saraf, and also concludes the answers to the questions from all shareholders. I would like to now request shareholders who have not yet voted to cast their votes, because the e-voting will continue for 15 minutes after the meeting. The scrutinizer, after the conclusion of voting at this meeting, shall first count the votes cast at the meeting and thereafter unblock the votes cast through remote e-voting with the assistance of KFin technologies. The scrutinizer shall make a consolidated scrutinizer's report of the total votes cast in favor and against. And I am authorizing Narayan Shankar, the company secretary, to receive the scrutinizer's register, report on e-voting and other related papers with requisite details, and also to countersign the scrutinizer's report upon receipt of them and to declare the results. The results of the remote e-voting aggregated with the results of e-voting at this AGM along with the scrutinizer's report shall be communicated to the BSE Limited and the National Stock Exchange of India Limited, where the equity shares of the company are listed, and will also be placed on the company's website and on the website of KFin Technologies within 48 hours. Finally, it's my privilege to thank each one of you for your presence and your support at the meeting. I hereby declare the proceedings as closed and concluded on completion of e-voting by members, which will be 15 minutes from now. Thank you.
है।